This is subordinate's beloved daughter, Tuoba Yen. And you still do not pay master respects. Great King Firehorn hastily shot a glance at Princess Yen. Su Xing thoughtfully looked at Princess Yen. He played with the god's sealing plate in his hand as if nothing had happened. This kind of vague threat clearly added more pressure, and Tuoba Yen was conflicted. Whatever you are thinking of doing, you are just finding trouble with this princess. I never thought that I could encounter a star master at Firehorn Mountain, and it is even a man-eating lion. Su Xing sized up that whole star fiery-eyed swan-eyed Deng Fei, his tone containing a slight pressure. Without her master's order, the fiery-eyed swan-eye could only have no other choice. Gnashing her teeth, those crimson eyes let loose an ominous glint. This sort of star general was a disaster if left at his side, and this Princess Yen seemed also to be an unruly tsundere. If he left things alone, this would bring him harm. It was a pity that with Su Xing's current star energy, controlling a galaxy early-stage demi-king with the god's sealing plate was very precarious. Besides, it would not be too possible for the god's sealing plate to control a star general. However, this girl dared to act and had the courage to assume responsibility. If she could do that, then she actually was not bad. Thinking things through again and again, Su Xing's heart then had a countermeasure. Your servant did not think she was unable to take down a galaxy early-stage cultivator. Deng Fei's expression was gloomy and cold. Great King Firehorn, what would you say your servant should do to tame this lion? Su Xing asked. In the battle just now with Tuoba Yen and her star general, Great King Firehorn and the other demi-clan generals did not take advantage of the situation, which gave Su Xing a favorable impression. Only because of this did he let Tuoba Yen go. Otherwise, with that sort of close-quarters attack by the fiery-eyed swan-eye, Su Xing would already have bluntly first executed the contractor. You wish to tame your servant? Deng Fei continuously laughed coldly. The raging heaven's starfire hammer seemed to sense the indignation in its master's heart. The bright flames explosively swelled and turned into a lion. She advanced a step, her steps creating raging infernos, about to execute an attack. Things cannot be like this. Princess Yen shouted. Great King Firehorn looked at the crowd of generals. The abilities Su Xing displayed had already thoroughly convinced the Fire Shadow Clan's generals. Their hearts had also tacitly agreed on the fact Su Xing was king, and now, seeing that Su Xing unexpectedly could defeat a star general had only naturally made them even more reverent. Princess Yen is one of my rare kin that can utilize the sword chant ability. I ask that master start off leniently. If she serves the great king, then it is certain she can be like a tiger that has grown wings. The generals plead for leniency one after the other. Like a tiger that has grown wings, or am I nurturing a tiger that invites disaster? I fear that is not easy to say. Su Xing's tone was ice cold. I also implore that master let her off just this once. My beloved daughter's mother passed away early. Her natural disposition is stubborn, but she is not a person devoid of sense. Great King Firehorn begged for leniency. Subordinate is willing to properly discipline his daughter. This is actually true. To be able to stand up for her father, she is a filial daughter. Su Xing nodded his head, remaining non-committal. Hearing that things had somewhat turned for the better, Great King Firehorn was delighted, but the next sentence made his pleasant surprise stop there. Does the Vermilion Bird territory not have a Nether River blood oath? Tuoba Yen, if you truly are a filial daughter, then accept the consequences. Su Xing indifferently looked at Tuoba Yen. Hearing the words Nether River blood oath, Tuoba Yen's complexion slightly changed. The Nether River Blood Oath was an extremely well-known and even somewhat malicious pledge of the Vermilion Bird Territory's demi-clans. With blood as the evidence, the soul as the medium, once the words were uttered, the oath-taker became a slave, unable to emancipate themselves. However, only with this could Su Xing be at ease, otherwise, raising a female tiger by his side, who could relax? Don't think. Deng Rongxin raised her hackles, and she was about to throw out the raging heaven's starfire hammer. Princess Yen extended a hand to stop her. The girl actually seemed surprisingly calm. Those red eyes fixed firmly on Su Xing, seemingly wanting to look through something. You wish to have a star master become your slave. So do you not fear the consequences? You had better think over your consequences right now. Su Xing laughed inwardly. He was a star master that could be considered the so-called rational and lawful towards the star duels. Even if he was not a star master, Su Xing could not possibly be frightened by a legend shrouded in mist. Not only he, but any one of Liangshan continent's countless star cultivators did not think this way. The sole individuals that somewhat considered this were those deeply rooted sections. Fine, then this princess shall oblige you. Tuoba Yen resolutely said. Princess. The fiery-eyed Swan-and-I Deng Rongxin was still somewhat unresigned. Tuoba Yen shook her head and bit open her finger. She let the blood splatter in her surroundings, forming a profound magic circle. This array had 10 death gates, 10 life gates, and a sea of blood in the center. Tuoba Yen began to slowly chant, I enter the death gate, then losing rebirth, life and death are in hand, and the blood sea is attached. I enter the life gate, wishing to enter my grave, abandoning life and death, becoming a slave, becoming a servant. This Nether River blood oath had considerable background. Legend had it that the Vermilion Bird demi-clans all had a common ancestor named Ancestor Nether. 3. In the Vermilion Bird territories myths, this ancestor Nether was in charge of the underworld's blood rivers, controlling life, death, and reincarnation, and the veins in the bodies of all of the Vermilion Bird demi-clans flowed with Ancestor Nether's blood. If blood was used for an oath, then it was the world's most poisonous pledge. If the oath were to be broken, then the violator would forever fall into the underworld and experience death, robbed of reincarnation. Tuoba Yen promises the man right here before her to forever fall. For all my life, I become a slave, and my life and death fall into his hand. Each word that Tuoba Yen chanted made the star general fiery-eyed Swan-and-I a bit more unsightly. Her fingernails pinched into her flesh, bringing out a scar of blood. After the final word was uttered, that blood sea array condensed into a drop of blood. This drop of blood blended into Tuoba Yen's soul intent, and then it floated before Su Xing. Su Xing opened his mouth and absorbed this blood intent. Tuoba Yen cried out, and the Nether River blood oath was considered finished. With this, Tuoba Yen was Su Xing's servant for her whole life. So long as Su Xing did not change the oath, should Tuoba Yen be the slightest bit disloyal, then death would be better than life. Tuoba Yen walked forward. She suddenly squatted and brought out a bottle of medicine that she spread onto the wounds that had been ripped open by the fiery-eyed Swan-and-I. This Nether River blood oath honestly was formidable. She had just finished swearing it, and Tuoba Yen was this quick to obediently begin serving him. You are a princess, after all. I will not do anything to you. Seeing that Tuoba Yan's fingers were trembling, how could Su Xing not know what she was thinking? Tuoba Yen for her whole life is master's slave servant and does not dare have delusions. Tuoba Yen replied with an expressionless face. I will not treat you unfairly. Consider these 3 things as given to you. Su Xing knew that when it was appropriate to show kindness and to exert pressure. 2 items then flew out. Seeing those 3 things, the expressionless Tuoba Yen immediately showed astonishment. There was a secret art, and there was a double-edged sword. This 9 chapters of Conflagration Sky has recorded 9 types of true fire supreme grade palm techniques. It will be very helpful to you. Many thanks to Master. Princess Yen bowed her head and said. Seeing her so cute, Su Xing also gave the firebolt sword to her. 5. This artifact currently did not have any use to Su Xing, but Princess Yan's fire element was fierce, so this was very helpful to her. What is your flying sword? Su Xing asked. Reporting to Master. This sword is known as Fire Without Shadow, and what is practiced is the 12 True Fires sword chant. I have a heavenly dark clinging fire sword chant, 6, and it is a high-grade sword chant. Take it. As for materials, I have some, but the others you will have to manage yourself. Su Xing gave the heavenly dark climbing fire sword chant and a few materials to Princess Yan. Signing the Nether River Blood Oath, Princess Yan's strength increased a bit, and thus would be more helpful to him. Slave servant thanks master. Compared to her ice cold just now, the present Tuoba Yan's tone was much warmer. I still have important matters to attend to. When I return the next time, I hope this Firehorn Mountain will all be in your great King Firehorn's control. Su Xing coldly said. Great King Firehorn heard Su Xing's meaning, and he was startled and happy. 9 caves and 10 streams, there still are several demi-kings. With Master's secret books as a guide, these cave groups can be received in about a year. About a year. Too long. Su Xing shook his head. He brought out a pearl and a mirror. This pearl's name is Boundless Sun Pearl. Its spiritual power has suffered a bit of damage, but relying on Firehorn Mountain's ley lines for renewed refinement, it will be a powerful magic weapon. However, you are incapable of using it. Firehorn, this pearl shall be given to you. There is also this Fire Dragon mirror that you had best also take for refinement. Su Xing gestured with his hand. After he acquired Heaven Tearing, these 2 magic weapons were of little value to Su Xing. The Boundless Sun Pearl and Fire Dragon mirror flew into Great King Firehorn's hands. Great King Firehorn's most powerful magic weapon was a True Fire Spear, forged from fire essence and true fire, but it simply was frail against Su Xing's Heaven Tearing. With these magic weapons, his strength also greatly increased. Great King Firehorn repeatedly expressed his thanks. Seeing Su Xing so extravagant, the fiery-eyed Swan was amazed and lost her previous drive. Right, do you have Karma Fire Spirit Stones, 7, here? Su Xing suddenly recalled that Yanizhan required 6 pieces of Karma Fire Spirit Stones to advance to 3-star, and he wondered whether or not this Firehorn Mountain had any. Karma Fire Spirit Stones? This dwelling keeps 4 pieces. Great King Firehorn said promptly. Then good. I just so happen to have some use for them. Su Xing smiled. Hurry and go bring those 4 pieces of Karma Fire Spirit Stones over for Master. Great King Firehorn commanded. Immediately, he thought, it would be better for subordinate to go. Su Xing nodded, letting the others all withdraw. The main hall was left with only Su Xing and the Princess Yan obediently squatting at Su Xing's feet. Seeing this girl was previously Tsundere and now actually obedient, he gave her a massage. This transformation scene honestly was somewhat big. Princess Yan saw that Su Xing was staring at her, and her face turned thoroughly red as she averted her gaze. Why would you want a star duel? Su Xing asked. It seems your Firehorn Mountain's influence is not great, so everything about the star duels would simply bode ill for you, correct? Princess Yan and Deng Rongxin both were taken aback, having never thought Su Xing would be this caring. Slave servant does not dare hide the truth from master. Only by signing a contract could slave servant nurture a flying sword. Doing so can help dad expand his power. You are indeed filial. Could it be you never thought that this matter is very dangerous? Su Xing smiled. Life in the Vermilion Bird territory is inherently very dangerous, and there are things to fear. Princess Yan shook her head. Deng Rongxin scowled coldly and looked at Su Xing. Your servant sees you are not an ordinary person. Just what sort of person are you? Rongxin, do not be rude to master. Humph. The fiery-eyed Swan has only the princess as her master in this life. This man had best understand this point. Should you do anything shameless to the princess, your servant will not watch with folded arms. Rongxin. Princess Yan's tone sunk. Deng Rongxin's eyes were lion-like in their resolve. You think I would want her body? Su Xing's such frank words made the 2 girls stumped and bashful. A while longer, and then I shall leave. Starting from today, you shall help me properly manage this Firehorn Mountain. Su Xing was unconcerned. I fear that I will not return for a considerably long time. Master will leave just like this? Could it be you will not rest for the night? Tuoba Yan's eyes concealed some pleasant surprise. Deng Rongxin felt this was odd, for she originally believed this man that grabbed her breast was certain to do something obscene. The half-moon had nearly set. How could Su Xing have any sort of happy mood? You may withdraw first. Carefully study, and do not make me disappointed. Slave servant understands. Princess Yan neatly excused herself from the main hall. By the time she left, a golden book flew out. Its pages flipped and stopped on a certain page. Star position, whole star name, Deng Fei nickname, fiery-eyed swan and I true name, Deng Rongxin rank, 49th star weapon, raging heavens starfire hammer, 2 star, star beast. Rank, realm, 1000 militaries 5th stage innate skill, crimson pupils flame hair, 8, 5 elements, fire yellow rank special skill, fire and I ripping / swan and I skyward roar flame, 9, current status, contractor, Tuoba Yan. It seems my martial force is just about at the 1000 militaries 5th stage. Su Xing muttered to himself. That isn't accurate. If we really continue to engage, the one who'd have lost certainly would be me. Su Xing shook his head, denying his conjecture just now. This sort of guess really was somewhat conceited. To confront a martial force star general, it was still best to not let her get close. Not a moment after, Great King Fire Horn brought over the 4 pieces of Karma Fire Spirit Stones. These Karma Fire Spirit Stones used heavenly fire to form, and less than 10 had condensed in Fire Horn Mountain several hundred years. The majority had been used, and now, these 4 were what remained. Taking the Karma Fire Spirit Stones, Su Xing then briefed him on some other things. At this time, he suddenly recalled the matter of Wang Dinglu. He asked, the affair of the birth treasure outline, are you aware of what happened? Great King Firehorn nodded. Because Tuoba Yan was also a star master, he would concern himself about the birth treasure outline. However, in plundering that purple star birth outline, there were more than 100 demi-clans, demon kings, and all 4 mountains moving out. By his strength, he could only watch. Right, tell me about the things of the star masters and this birth treasure outline. Su Xing thought. He was not extremely knowledgeable about the Vermilion Bird territory, and he just so happened to be able to use this opportunity to know the rough idea about these. As you wish. Great King Firehorn did not dare be neglectful. For the sake of his daughter's star duels, he was actually surprisingly detailed about the Vermilion Bird territory's star masters. The Vermilion Bird territory's 3 most famous star master were Falling Dragon Mountain's Lady Snake Scorpion, Immeasurable Mountain's Wu Ji, and Silver Night Mountain's Shi Qin Qin. 2. For the current star duels, every large group's influence would contend against each other. Without first mentioning that a wish could finally be granted, the status of having a star master was naturally very honorable. Among these 3 star masters, the one most deserving of fear was Lady Snake Scorpion. Su Xing already knew this point, and in regards to Immeasurable Mountains Wu Ji and Silver Night Mountains Shi Qin Qin, they were also formidable characters. However, they were not worth a mention compared to Lady Snake Scorpion. Although Lady Snake Scorpion was only Nebula late stage, her entire body of goo poison arts was very incredible. When she originally battled with Wu Ji and Shi Qin Qin, she utterly defeated the 2, and no one in the Vermilion Bird territory dared to irritate her. Speaking more of the business of that purple star birth treasure outline plunder was also very bizarre. The forbid dance that limited only star masters was very quickly broken, and the result was that several tens of thousands of demi-soldiers entered a confused melee. In the end, that birth treasure outline steel unexpectedly had been struck open, and the birth treasure outline rose above everyone. Everyone had set their sights on snatching it, but not a single one of them had thought a silhouette would flash past and take the birth treasure outline into a sack. By the time everyone had noticed Wang Dinglu, she had already disappeared without a trace. At this time, Great King Firehorn had wanted to take advantage of the situation thus saw and clearly understood, which made him feel disbelief. However, the Vermilion Bird territory now was layers of blockades. Wang Dinglu thus found it difficult to escape, and the rumor was that she currently had fled to the North District next to Deer Pursuit. Great King Firehorn had also assigned people to pay close attention to Wang Dingliu's movements. From the moment Su Xing left Firehorn Mountain, Great King Firehorn still did not stop urging him to stay. Su Xing was already very tired of acting as the deeply hidden adept. How could he have the energy to stay longer? After Su Xing left, he still fully thought of things about Wang Dinglu. That living goddess of lightning honestly was formidable. She probably accurately calculated that the Vermilion Bird Territory's birth treasure outline plunder would be chaotic, and only then did she come to this place. He never expected that the birth treasure outline would be seized by one of the ranked last star generals, which could be considered a rare sight. You are all right. Outside Firehorn Mountain, Chu-He interrupted Su Xing's thoughts. Seeing she had still stayed, Su Xing felt surprised. Why did you not leave? You saved me, so it would be better to go together with you. Chu-He said. If I did not come out, then you would have waited this idly. Su Xing smiled. If you stay here, then you should inform me. Chu-He carefully said. Let us leave for now. Right, do not tell anyone about this matter. Chu-He nodded. Su Xing said nothing more. The two then flew towards Mount Danxia on their riding swords. North District, deep in the mountains. The moon was dark, and the winds were high. Within the forest came the sounds of shouts. A silhouette just like a winding snake traveled back and forth in the forest. Black lights seemingly cut open the moonlight and flashed past. These people were currently in pursuit of a young girl. You stupid idiots, there was a long, drawn-out voice. The girl confronting several dozen people in deadly pursuit seemingly treated this as a game. She was not in a flying escape, but it really was not a fast movement. Rather, by a sort of instantaneous movement style, she swiftly moved about. Every flicker was practically even faster than the blink of an eye. She could move several dozen times within one breath, and although the people chasing from behind had cultivations that were extraordinary, with artifacts and magic weapons that were also out of the ordinary, they were unfortunately no match for that maiden's flash movement. There was a sort of humiliation being made fools. Living goddess of lightning, this immortal wants to see just how far you can run. This immeasurable mountain is entirely the ancestral master's domain. If you obediently send the birth treasure outline this way, not only will Founder let you go, he will even give you a star master. What say you? A man yelled. In the deep mountains and old forests, in its quiet and seclusion, his voice was very ear-piercing. What replied was a giggling voice, so it turned out that Immeasurable Mountain's Wu Ji is an idiot. That Wu Ji man angrily gnashed his teeth. He was precisely Immeasurable Mountain's star master. Originally, he had planned to refine here, but he never expected to run into the living goddess of light Wang Dinglu in a curious coincidence. In a momentary blossoming of the flower of excitement, he convened more than a dozen disciples to encircle and kill. It was a pity this inferior star's flash jump 3 honestly was fucking disgusting. Normal artifacts and arrays simply were incapable of trapping her, and in the end, it developed into an exhausting chase to kill. Fortunately, this hanging head mountain was the domain of Zhaohua Mountain. Wu Ji presumed she was a trapped beast. Young master, there is no need to speak more nonsense. This general shall see to what time she can persevere. Beside Wu Ji, a gown-wearing girl holding a red iron staff said in a bored manner. Her eyes were seemingly clear and acute as a falcon's. Her figure was like a deer's, strong and healthy. Several times, she was close to striking down Wang Dinglu. Elder sister can try. Wang Dinglu instantly disappeared. Within the mountain forests, she executed unbelievable movements. Atop Hanging Head Mountain, the moonlight had been enshrouded by black clouds, presenting a desolate appearance. A figure emerged. Wang Dinglu yawned, and she watched the Star Master and the rest still chasing below. This is truly a headache. Wherever I go, it is not peaceful. Did I not just take one book? This book belongs to us star generals, anyways. The living goddess of light's wrist flipped, and a golden scroll appeared. Then it would be better to come to elder sister's side. Completely without warning, a lofty voice abruptly sounded out behind her. Wang Dinglu instantly turned around. She saw a woman of mediocre facial features wearing a blue and white palace skirt. If one were to not look at her face, then hearing her voice would make one believe she was an absolute beauty. If Su Xing were present, he would probably be astonished. She was Qingxi, and it was unexpected that the Wang Dinglu hiding in the boundless mountain ranges of the Vermilion Bird Territory and Azure Dragon Territory would be encountered by her. It was also unknown whether this was a coincidence or deliberate. Wang Dingliu's expression concentrated, and Qingxi's white hand waved. She tossed out a green ring, and this ring became a green shadow that coiled over. Wang Dinglu had not yet returned to her senses when that green shadow wrapped around her entire body, becoming a dragon that tightly constricted her. No matter what Wang Dinglu did, she could not move in the slightest. The originally smug living goddess of lightning's complexion greatly changed. A purple star-grade astral treasure. She had never heard of such a powerful star master that could control a purple star-grade astral treasure. Just who are you? Qingxi stepped delicately in Wang Dingliu's direction, and at the same time, she picked up that birth treasure outline. Wang Dingliu's guts churned with regret. She had always shot at the birds, but this time, she had been pecked by them. The woman smiled, finding little sister certainly was not easy. The birth treasure outline pointed at Wang Dinglu flipped open, and a passage of information appeared. Star position, inferior star name, Wang Dinglu nickname, living goddess of lightning true name. Rank, 104th star weapon, thunder roll lightning flash, 5, 4 star, star beast. Rank, realm, heavenly clothes 7th stage innate skill, flash movement, 6, 5 elements, earth yellow rank special skill, lightning flash, 7, dark rank special skill, thunderclap, 8, current status, no contractor, can be conquered, detailed materials. Incredible, incredible. I never thought little sister's star weapon would unexpectedly be 4 star. Qingxi lightly smiled. She extended a hand and waved. That astral treasure became a dragon shadow that entered her sleeve. I wonder what little sister's true name is. Wang Dinglu looked at Qingxi with indefinite gloom, and lightning exploded in her hand. Who is your little sister? Don't think just because you are a woman that you can feel that you are an elder sister. Her hands flicked, and a thunderbolt blossomed. Dark rank style. Thunderclap. Ka-cha. The thunderbolt had been instantly smashed to pieces. A cold-as-ice woman appeared at Qingxi's side. She was Longkue. If you are not willing to follow elder sister, then it would be better to kill you. Longkue said nothing further. She raised the gloom around her 2 hands. Longkue, be a bit gentler towards little sister. Qingxi barred Longkue. Wang Dinglu looked at Longkue, brimming with alarm. At this time, Wu Ji and the crowd he brought finally encircled Wang Dinglu. Bring the birth treasure outline over, an immeasurable mountain will let you all go this time. Wu Ji coldly said. The young girl holding the red long staff obstructed Wu Ji's front, as if she was facing a formidable enemy. Young master, be careful. Yenner. 9. Seeing as star generals are merely so, everyone, immediately activate the array. So it turned out to be little sister remote star tiger slaying General Li Zhong. 10. Qingxi smiled very warmly. Wang Dinglu, are you willing to scale to the peak together with your servant? If you can get out, then we can talk. Wang Dinglu dodged, and she flash jumped 1,000 meters away, sneering. Meanwhile, the cold woman Longkue was already impatient and raised the gloom weapon in her to cut Wu Ji down. The red light that tiger-slaying General Li Zhong's star weapon, 100 Beasts Mountain Shaking Staff, 11, raised was a yellow rank style, tiger expulsion beyond stream. 12, bang a heavy pressure easily broke her yellow rank style, pressing enough to make the tiger-slaying General Li Yan's legs bend. She nearly knelt, startling her. You are 5 Colors City. Wu Siyou watched the sky where there was another falling star, and her brows wrinkled even more deeply. Suddenly, she saw a silhouette fly at high speed towards the pavilion. Wu Siyou's tight brows finally smoothed out. So it turned out you are still alive? The one who approached was Su Xing. Su Xing grinned. Siyou, if you actually thought I died, you would have already no longer stayed in this place. Wu Siyou was left dumbstruck by Su Xing's words, but she nevertheless was unwilling to easily show it. She coldly said, you were chased by the Rock Demon King enough that the entire Vermilion Bird territory knows. You truly are too audacious. Pausing, Wu Siyou brought out a bottle of medicine. These are spring waters become rain pills. 13. You had best not let something happen to you. Your servant certainly does not wish for Ingmei to blame me. Su Xing laughed and unceremoniously took the bottle. Is Gongsun Huang still alright? I have Xia Bao's blood, so half of the goo poison should be able to be cured. Su Xing thought. Wu Siyou stared at Su Xing, as if she wanted to see through him. However, the more she looked, the more her heart was distracted, her thoughts in turmoil. For the world to have a star master the likes of you, truly, this is a matter your servant is incapable of understanding. I hear signing a contract allows us to easily comprehend each other. Su Xing chuckled. Say those words to Gongsun Huang. Wu Siyou turned and entered the hall. Su Xing was stunned. He entered the hall and heard a clear voice. You have come back. Su Xing turned his head, only to see that Gongsun Huang was already floating over. Like a doll, she peacefully sat upon his shoulder. Your complexion is somewhat unwell. Su Xing saw that Gongsun Huang's complexion was increasingly unsightly. His heart had some worry, and he brought her into the living room. I'll first help cure you of the poison. Gongsun Huang shook her head. That pair of eyes seemingly unsullied by the world's dust had a sort of magic charisma. Are you willing to sign a contract with Gongsun Huang? The girl asked very softly. Each word was nevertheless very clear. Are you willing to stay by my side? Su Xing smiled and asked in turn. Gongsun Huang suddenly lowered her head and kissed Su Xing's lips. Instantly, as if a cool breeze blew past their hearts, their foreheads immediately each twinkled with the light of stars, and Su Xing heard 3 words. 3 words light as feathers, but heavy like Mount Tai. I am willing. Gongsun Huang ended the kiss and blinked. Her pupils deep as a lake had only a tranquility while Su Xing had somewhat not yet come back to his senses. On the middle of his and Gongsun Huang's foreheads appeared a scorching mark. A star energy flowed into his body, and the originally extreme repercussions of using the chaotic tail escape had been cured in the blink of an eye. This sort of feeling was the characteristic of contracting a star general. We contracted. Su Xing's mouth hung open, for he was very surprised that Gongsun Huang agreed so neatly. You actually have so much trust in me? Su Xing asked her. Gongsun Huang tilted her head, seemingly pondering a bit before nodding. The Wu Siyou to the side leaned against the wall. She did not show much astonishment at Su Xing and Gongsun Huang signing a star dual covenant because Gongsun Huang's goo poison had already become grave. If she did not enter a star nest to recover, perhaps she truly would have been crippled. Furthermore, ever since after the Rock Demon King fully used the giant rock spreads its wings and flies 90,000 li for a chase to kill that shocked the entire Vermilion Bird territory, the land bustled with discussion regarding the target of the Rock Demon King's deadly pursuit. Wu Siyou very easily guessed correctly just who the Rock Demon King was chasing. To be frank, when she learned that Su Xing was unexpectedly being pursued by Great Sage Falling Sky, there was an instant that Wu Siyou felt extreme shock. A galaxy stage by himself had surprisingly dared to provoke a supervoid's agitation and anger, leading to a chase to kill across the entire sky. This completely toppled the notions that Wu Siyou had regarding cultivator ranks. Even if it was her right now, she herself would not go actually provoke the Rock Demon King. Especially after she knew that Xia Bao's death was what incited the Rock Demon King, Wu Siyou's mood was even more complicated. She felt Su Xing was very stupid, to unexpectedly provoke an insufferable opponent for the sake of a star general that was unrelated to himself, but from another perspective, she felt Su Xing was very crafty. Wu Siyou felt if she encountered such a star master, she would inevitably have her interest piqued. Actually, Wu Siyou had believed Su Xing would use the jade pendant to escape to his home. After all, the opponent used the Vermilion Bird Territory's unrivaled super escape technique. Even Wu Siyou had prepared to depart, but something happened that Su Xing would never have expected. "What's that?" Su Xing asked. Wu Siyou glanced at Gongsun Huang and replied, "Gongsun Huang said you would return." Su Xing was stunned. He looked oddly at the girl on his shoulders. "Do you believe in me this much?" Gongsun Huang nodded. "Your servant said that even if you actually escaped the Rock Demon King's pursuit by a fluke, for you to return, you certainly would experience a heavy calamity and become a cripple, undoubtedly." Wu Siyou said, "Are you suicidal? Even if you do not cherish your own life, think about Ingmei." This sentence's tone carried strictness. Who could have known the Rock Demon King was at Five Poisons Mountain? Su Xing was helpless. Wu Siyou and Gongsun Huang very inquisitively listened to Su Xing's encounter. When they heard that Su Xing used a type of unprecedented chaotic tail escape technique to surprisingly contend against the Rock Demon King's giant rock spreads its wings and flies 90,000 li, they felt genuinely shocked. Gongsun Huang even used her small hand to tenderly stroke Su Xing's face, with a somewhat sorry expression. Su Xing felt that Gongsun Huang so simply signing a contract with him could possibly be as Wu Siyou had said. Even if he returned, he would undoubtedly have suffered injuries and taken advantage of the Star Dual Covenant to rise from the dead, like a cripple. Although Su Xing had gone through half a month of recovery and was halfway there, this Star Dual Covenant actually certainly made Su Xing recover to peak condition. This was more useful than any miracle cures or recuperation training. After she swallowed Xia Bao's blood to suppress the gu poison, Gongsun Huang's wan complexion recovered a bit of color. Afterwards, she entered the star nest. "There is a matter I want to ask you." Wu Siyou suddenly recalled something. "What matter?" Su Xing asked. "That day you left, Holy Mother Qi Xia's representative came seeking you." Holy Mother Qi Xia. Su Xing was taken aback. This was somewhat outside his expectations, and his brow furrowed. "Holy Mother Qi Xia is Mount Danxia's Demon King? What's she doing looking for me? I'm not even familiar with her. You used pure gold of 1 billion at an auction?" Wu Siyou was expressionless. "She seemingly came for this purpose. This is an invitation card." The harm star threw the invitation to Su Xing. The card unexpectedly invited the Su Xing married couple. Su Xing was at a loss. How does this Holy Mother Qi Xia know we're husband and wife? Hearing Su Xing's husband and wife description, Wu Siyou's brow knit together. However, she did not feel like arguing over this. "Did you attend?" Su Xing asked her. Wu Siyou disdainfully jeered. "How could your servant possibly be interested in this sort of thing? Besides, who that Holy Mother invited was you, and your servant certainly would not accompany her. Nevertheless, since you did not attend, her people have urged several times." Su Xing nodded. In his mind, he suddenly heard Gongsun Huang's voice. "The harm star continuously acted as your wife to decline." Gongsun Huang said indifferently. Su Xing was stunned, and he could not help but laugh. "What are you laughing at?" Wu Siyou said, annoyed. She felt that smile of Su Xing's brimmed with banter. "Nothing at all." Su Xing looked at this card. There would be a banquet tonight, and since Holy Mother Qi Xia urgently needed gold, having a meeting with the overlord of this Mount Danxia was not a big loss. Su Xing raised his head, and his gaze directly fixed on Wu Siyou. "What are you looking at?" Wu Siyou bluntly wrapped herself in her cloak, covering her supple figure. Su Xing laughed aloud. "Let's go together tonight." Wu Siyou said nothing. In truth, she was very interested in this Holy Mother Qi Xia and very much wanted to know what plans she had for Su Xing. "Right, however, on the card, we are husband and wife." That Holy Mother Chi Xia and the Azure Dragon territory have a close relationship, and the rumor is that the Shifting Flower Sword sect emerged from the East District. At that time, there would be no shortage of Azure Dragon territory cultivators. In order to not arouse suspicion, I have a suggestion for our act. Su Xing muttered to himself. Wu Siyou perceptively felt that Su Xing had some terrible idea, and she asked in a meaningful tone, "Oh? Then what do you plan on having your servant do? Is it only to pretend we are husband and wife?" Her white fingers lightly drummed empty space, and the airflow between her fingers indistinctly formed a line. It seemed she would unceremoniously cast it if Su Xing were to utter some frivolous line. Su Xing glances at Wu Siyou's white hands, and he said very earnestly, "Might as well fabricate a husband and wife address to fool them." Husband and wife address? Wu Siyou's tapping fingers stopped. Siyou, you wouldn't address me as Lord Husband, right? Su Xing smiled. Wu Siyou snorted, nodding without the slightest hesitation. Although she addressed herself as your servant, for her to address another man as Lord Husband? That was really dreaming. Not having castrated this man was considered a miracle. But you like to self-address as your servant. If you don't address me as Lord Husband, wouldn't that arouse the suspicion of others? Su Xing said. Wu Siyou nodded. Apparently, she felt that what Su Xing said was very logical. It seemed this man actually was not incorrigible. Then how do you plan to do this? Let's arrange an address for each other, just to let others think we are a married couple. What address? Su Xing pretended to ponder for a moment. I'll just address you as dearest wife, and you address me as dearest husband. 2. Dearest wife. Dearest husband. No matter what, Wu Siyou felt these names sounded very strange. Is your servant very old? 3. The so-called naturally refers to the white hairs of old age. Then, represents the female gender. Represents male. Outsiders that hear this would naturally feel this would be related to a husband and wife. Su Xing extravagantly embellished his explanation. This makes others feel it pertains to married coupled and won't arouse suspicion of us. How isn't this two birds with one stone? Wu Siyou furrowed her brow. Where did you hear of this? What's the matter? Su Xing asked her. Although Wu Siyou felt this address sounded incongruous, when Su Xing put it that way, she thought it over and concluded these were names for married couples. She would lose nothing calling out this sort of address, and she nodded. As you wish. Dearest wife, shall we practice first? Su Xing awfully wanted to smile. What is there to practice about this? Wu Siyou said disdainfully. You must treat anything you do with earnestness. Su Xing sternly said. Could it be the Grand Harmstar is fond of being undisciplined? Dearest husband, do not use psychological tactics on your servant. Wu Siyou coldly smiled. Dearest husband, of your servant's words, are you satisfied? Su Xing sighed. For this cool and elegant Wu Siyou to say the two words, dearest husband, was incomparable ecstasy, as expected. Worthy of being called your servant's dearest wife, so quickly have you entered the role. Su Xing praised. Dearest husband, you are not bad either. Speaking this fabricated address so smoothly. Wu Siyou's fingers rolled her long hair that fell before her chest, her smile enchanting and mysterious. Who let dearest wife Siyou be this cool and elegant? Any man would be smooth. Su Xing chuckled. Wu Siyou felt the man before her had a sort of pleasure derived from getting away with something. Dearest husband, suddenly, when Wu Siyou said these words, her expression concentrated. Dearest wife, what is the matter? Su Xing was confused. Dearest husband, go die. Wu Siyou bit her lip, harumphed, turned and walked away. That long hair fluttered like a galaxy, indescribably poetic. Why would the magnificent Harmstar pilgrim do such senseless practice with this man? Truly, her brain was broken. Su Xing stared at her back. It was quite a pity that Wu Siyou had realized his scheme so quickly. The dearest husband that Wu Siyou said honestly was very satisfying to a man's vanity. more than 10 li outside of Five Colors City. A cloaked woman emitted a chilly aura from head to foot, and she was encircled by several tall and sturdy men. "Take her down," one man shouted. The next instant, the cold woman's alluring figure was like a graceful wind. She suddenly rushed forth, completely the distance to the men. She seemed to turn her body lightning quick, stepping across a space of several zhang. She came to the side of a man, and without saying a word, she directly made a slanted chop with her hand. From her palm chop came a power that was more bone-chilling than any weapon. The man extended his hand to block it. That thick and solid arm had a powerful contrast to the woman's supple hand, but though it was a palm, the movement was simply too fast to see a shadow. Along with the chop, there was a sudden soft sound in the air, just like something had shattered. A distinct red line immediately emerged. The man's face greatly changed, for there simply was not enough time to react. This man hurriedly protected himself with both hands, fully releasing his self-protection artifacts. The faint red ripple immediately surged like a tide, and a distinct partition suddenly emerged before his eyes, striking against the red abnormality the woman's chop brought without any ceremony. Ka-cha! A crisp shattering noise once again rang, a violent reaction simply outside of the imagination. The detached woman's thrust was seemingly ordinary but actually matchlessly valiant. The opponent's barrier was ruptured as if it was an eggshell. The man stumbled backwards, and when he came close to a large tree, his neck sprayed a fountain of blood several meters high. His pupils seemed to melt away while he wobbled around before he fell. The others were astonished. "What sort of person are you?" The woman's cloak fell. Those vermilion pupils had an indescribable apathy, yet when she gazed in the direction of Five Colors City, they had a sort of indescribable softness. The horizon washed clean anyone, smiting with its light. It flowed with the 1,000-year wine of an immortal, becoming several clothes for the Lingshan. Mount Danxia's Red Cloud Hall, too, on its summit was the Vermilion Bird Territory's famous beautiful scenery. This hall was established on a peak of 800 zhang, completely constructed from iridescent colored glass. It glittered at the red clouds, and when seen from far away, the entire summit was cloaked in red clouds, appearing to be dazzling. Outside the main hall, ranks of mighty demi-soldiers stood guard, protecting with utmost strictness. They strictly prohibited those of untenure rank from entering. These demi-soldiers were majestic and formidable, impressive in appearance. They did not have a demi-clan's unusual appearance, but their eyes had clarity, their lips were like saber cuts, or their hands held long halberds, or large axes, or spears. They all were equally splendid in the light. Propitious vapors circulated, so it seemed this was a pretty good artifact. Placed in the Azure Dragon territory, and that would be an item that would make the mouths of many cultivators water. Above all, the imperial guards of this gate and the leader of that squad of soldiers had armor with circulating talisman script. The essence light of their eyes shot everywhere, and their bones were developed. Surprisingly, they were all military cultivators who were only that little bit off compared to a demi-king. The atmosphere within Red Cloud Hall's main hall was joyful, with continuous happy laughter, yet on the outside, the atmosphere was nervous. Not a single person was idle, and there were only each and every one of those demi-clan beauties, their bodies wearing a token that distinguished their identity. They traveled to and fro, amidst the chirping and her fragrance, but even if it was these demi-clan beauties, every single one had reserved star energy, their cultivations masterful. When Su Xing and Wu Siyou came forward to attend the banquet, they somewhat praised the scene they saw before them. It proved itself to be Mount Danxia's strategic location, for the entries and exits were not to be trifled with. The one who controlled this Mount Danxia was the Vermilion Bird Territory's most famous beauties, the 100 Flowers clan. 3. The females of the clan all were beautiful ladies that were out of this world, beauties that captivated even birds and beasts, and looking now, it was a fully justified reputation. This Red Cloud Hall was located in the surrounding Sheshan. The palaces were continuous, and the red light extended 10 li, a scene that was extremely spectacular. After sending the invitation card up, a maid then guided Su Xing and Wu Siyou into the main hall. The main hall was immense beyond compare. Rows of pillars glorious as the morning glow glistened. The sunset-colored tiles laid over the floor did not have the slightest of cracks and were entirely lavish. Although Su Xing had been ceremoniously invited, he was at most only a galaxy early stage. He was an unknown minor character, and after he entered the main hall, there was no one to greet him. Su Xing happily idled, engrossed as he sized up the people who came. Above Red Cloud's palace, the gold and jade in glorious splendor, the light fog canopy, the layer of rosy clouds, the desolate music, 10 people wore palace dresses, demi-clan beauties wearing light muslin were in the middle of a dance. On both sides, there were several crystal jade tables, with fine liquor and delicacies, rare and odd fruits on display. The aroma assailed the nostrils, and others ate with gusto. Beauties, good wine, delicious food and spirit fruit, this simply was a day only the Immortals could enjoy. Su Xing noticed an odd phenomenon. Although it was the Holy Mother Qixia who invited him, all who came were surprisingly Azure Dragon territory cultivators. For the shifting flower sect to flourish in the Azure Dragon territory, it was all because we had all of our fellows to rely on. Do me the honors, today, we invite our Azure Dragon territory fellows. However, it is a party, so seek pleasure, and everyone certainly must not be formal with me. Right above the feast sat a composed and dignified beauty. She fully smiled, and her white hand held a golden goblet, swallowing top-quality wine within in one gulp. This beauty wore a Qixia crown on her head, and her body was draped in 5-colored phoenix red cloud dress. A respectable majesty came from directly head-on, and the ripples of a powerful star energy could be vaguely seen in the 3 zhang surrounding the beauty. It slightly revolved, and it became countless tiny rainbow vortexes. So long as someone attacked, these rainbow vortexes would rapidly swirl, twisting the invading artifacts or magic weapons to pieces, utterly overbearing. By Su Xing's seeing clearly, skill, 5, even if he did not use divine intent to sense it, he could see that this woman's cultivation was supervoid stage at the minimum. It appeared that she was Holy Mother Qixia, unmistakably. The words Holy Mother Qixia spoke made Su Xing gain a whole new level of respect for her. Because of her supervoid stage cultivation, she had no need to foster any friendly relations with these cultivators, but she showed natural and unrestrained conduct. Her modesty that had etiquette was completely unlike the arrogant supervoid cultivator in the rumors, so it was no wonder the foreign shifting flower sect that entered the Azure Dragon territory could swiftly become one of the Azure Dragon territory's 4 great sword sects in 100 years' time. If there was such a holy mother behind them, indeed, they could not be underestimated. Su Xing suddenly recalled that in this purple star-grade birth outline plunder, the 4 great sword sects only had the Blooming Water Sword sect and Shifting Flower Sword sect not show up. The Blooming Water Sword sect was because its star master lost interest by means of a falling star, 6, but this Shifting Flower sect nevertheless not showing its face was somewhat strange. On second thoughts, according to Mount Danxia's influence, the Shifting Flower Sword sect vying for the Vermilion Bird Territory's birth treasure outline was within reason. Su Xing and Wu Siyou chatted as they ate, quietly monitoring their surroundings. "Brother Su Xing!" He suddenly heard a loud shout. Su Xing turned his head to look. An extremely pretty man walked towards him. He had not seen Fang Xiangu for a few days, yet he was increasingly handsome. Even Su Xing was somewhat envious. At Fang Xiangu's side, Zheng Yanran absent-mindedly looked around as she ate crystal cake. "I never expected to see Brother Fang here." Su Xing smiled. Fang Xiangu somewhat apologetically cupped his fists. "Holy Mother Qixia had inquired your servant about Brother Su Xing's affairs, and your servant implores that you not take offense. It was you who exposed us to her." Wu Siyou's tone was cold. "Your servant must also thank Brother Fang, otherwise, we would not have the honor to be able to experience this spectacular Qixia treasure palace." Su Xing smiled, not showing much surprise. In the Vermilion Bird Territory, the sole person who knew his identity was only Fang Xiangu. On that day at the auction, he and Fang Xiangu formed a relationship, so it was very easy to deduce just who Holy Mother Xia found to ask her inquiries. Where did you go the past few days? Zheng Yanran licked her lips and asked. Just wandering randomly about the Vermilion Bird territory. Tisk, unexpectedly making elder sister Siyou guard a lady's bedroom alone. Su Xing laughed out loud. He again turned to Fang Xiangu to find out this dinner entertainment business. Only then did he know that for those who came from the Azure Dragon territory, as long as they were a supercluster stage cultivator, they had been invited. As if there was something going on, the 10 great sects and their supercluster stage founders have arrived in person. It seems something is about to happen. Fang Xiangu muttered in a low voice. Su Xing clicked his tongue. As expected, in this world, an invitation without good reason to a feast was not a happy occasion. There was no such thing as a free lunch. Brother Xiangu. Will you not introduce this gorgeous beauty? 4 or 5 men and women walked over. The one speaking was a man in an elegant blue robe with pointed brows and starry eyes. His face was like crown jade, and he looked intelligent. Wu Xiou's supreme cool elegance had already made many of the male cultivators present endlessly interested, but due to Wu Xiou's galaxy late-stage cultivation, they did not dare be rash. The cultivation of this man hitting on her was also galaxy late-stage. He had a bit of a friendship with Fang Xiangu, and seeing Fang Xiangu chat so happily, he could not help but wait for an opportunity to step forward. As far as the Su Xing next to Wu Xiou was concerned, he was completely ignored. A galaxy early-stage cultivator was not worth his attention. This is fellow Su Xing. Fang Xiangu said. This is fellow Long Outyan. 7. Long Outyan faintly nodded, his eyes gazing at Wu Xiou. This is fellow Su Xing's first wife. Fang Xiangu saw his gaze and was somewhat unable to recognize his intentions, so he hastily spoke. Oh, his wife, huh, what? Long Outyan suddenly shouted. Each and every one of the cultivators that came with him were somewhat astonished. In the majority of dual cultivators, which one would not have the male cultivator above the female cultivator? Seeing that Wu Xiou was unexpectedly higher than Su Xing by 2 realms of cultivation, they had believed Su Xing was but only a gigolo. This Long has truly made an error in judgment. Long Outyan jeered, fellow Su Xing is indeed very fortunate, to be able to have this pretty beauty as his wife. It seems that fellow Su Xing must have some sort of outstanding aspect, otherwise, how could this beautiful woman care for you? This Long would like to ask for guidance. Ha, of course your servant has an outstanding aspect. Su Xing showed a crafty smile. How could the cultivators present not discern the ambiguity in Su Xing's words? Everyone was then disdainful and angered. Fang Xiangu promptly mediated. He said, today is Holy Mother Xia's feast. Everyone is a fellow citizen of the Azure Dragon territory, so you must not ruin your composure. The Holy Mother has taken notice of us. For the fellow Su Xing who has such a beautiful woman, take care that you do not suffer misfortune preventing you from enjoying her. Long Outyan harumphed, leaving behind words that were seemingly threatening yet not. He bowed, turned and left. His expression sure enough was lofty to the heavens, and the cultivators that were with him together bowed and left. This Long Outyan is of Twin Dragon's Mountain. He has some background, and his natural disposition is conceited. Your servant asks that Su Xing not mind. Fang Xiangu said. Nothing could be done. Who let my waifu be too cool and elegant? Su Xing looked mockingly at Wu Xiou. Wu Xiou was calm and collected as a dry well. Her eyes were actually continuously on Holy Mother Xia. That Holy Mother Xia has come looking for you. Wu Xiou said. Sure enough, a maid then walked before them. She greeted them in a warm voice. Holy Mother Xia has invited you too. Please follow slave servant. Su Xing affirmed and took his leave from Fang Xiangu, departing the main hall together with this maid. Passing through a long corridor, they entered a hall within the hall. Atop the hall, Holy Mother Siyou sat upright, her eyes tightly closed. Multicolored light circulated about her body very solemnly. Su Xing took notice of this and did not see any traps at all in this, but he did not dare lower his guard. Holy Mother Siyou has requested to see your servant, and I wonder for what matter. Su Xing cupped his fists. Holy Mother Siyou opened her eyes. She wore a kind smile, and she hinted at him to sit. Fellow Su Xing has truly kept me waiting. My wife's body has a weak constitution, so your servant went on search of some medicine ingredients. There were many delays, so your servant must beg forgiveness. Su Xing spoke out his prepared excuse. Holy Mother Siyou, I wonder how those fine ladies' meridian supplement pills were. Fine ladies' meridian supplement pills. Su Xing glanced at Wu Siyou, and the latter turned her gaze away. Holy Mother has made this Su overwhelmed by her favor. Su Xing smiled. No matter, for your majesty to have this beautiful a wife, certainly you must cherish her well. Holy Mother Siyou smiled. Hearing the two blather on about her status as a wife, Wu Siyou was disinclined to take notice. In reality, I sought out your majesty because I heard your majesty had once made a transaction of 1 billion in pure gold at an auction. Su Xing nodded. This indeed happened. Your servant does not know the one who was fond of gold, but they have let your servant have good fortune. Those items that your majesty purchased were actually sold by me. Your servant never expected it to be Holy Mother Siyou. Could it be the Holy Mother has regrets? Su Xing could not help but feel this was strange. May I ask, does your majesty still have pure gold? Holy Mother Siyou's feigned careless appearance made Su Xing smell a hint of getting rich. Your servant had obtained several mountains of gold by a fluke and actually still has some. Su Xing narrowed his eyes. As expected, it is as I thought. Holy Mother Siyou gently laughed. She glanced at the maid to her side, hinting to the maid. She clapped, and several maids beautiful as flowers entered the hall. In their hands, they each carried a red embroidered box, half kneeling on a single knee before Su Xing. Holy Mother Siyou extended her hand and swept. The embroidered boxes all opened, and inside each was an item or a magic medicine, spirit jade, artifact, or magic weapon, their luster glorious. Twinkling with the rays of the 5 colors, each was an extraordinary item, and even Wu Siyou, with her high ken, could not help but raise her brow. Your servant wonders what intention this is of the Holy Mother. Su Xing asked as he smiled. May I ask, your majesty, how much more pure gold do you have? Holy Mother Siyou asked. 6 billion. Because the Azure Dragon Territory's transactions rarely needed gold, Su Xing mostly used the items from the Heavenly Spirit and Earthly Fiend chests to barter, actually leaving him with a surplus of pure gold. The Holy Mother Siyou before him unexpectedly needing gold made Su Xing somewhat curious. For the reason that the Vermilion Bird Territory was not at all abundant in minerals, gold was thus even scarcer. Could Holy Mother Siyou collecting gold like this mean she had some use for it? 6 billion. Holy Mother Siyou stared blankly. Su Xing's numbers were clearly far greater than she had anticipated. She somewhat stared oddly at Su Xing. Although the Azure Dragon Territory was abundant in gold, gathering this much absolutely was not easy. Perhaps only dynasties and overlords like Emperor Liang could have this kind of national power. However, the Azure Dragon Territory's hermits were numerous, obtaining 10 billion through such a happy encounter was not impossible. This actually is more than what I wanted. Holy Mother Siyou briefly muttered to herself. She looked at Su Xing and said, How does your majesty feel about these items? I would like to use these to exchange for that 6 billion liang of gold. Su Xing glanced about. Some things were indeed pretty good, with even that 1,000-year medicinal ginseng being present, but it was still unworthy for Su Xing to exchange. Seeing that Holy Mother Siyou urgently needed such great quantities of gold, if he did not make this demon king of Mount Danxia take out something that would move him, how would Su Xing be satisfied? Although gold can be said to be not too free-flowing among the Azure Dragon Territory's star cultivators, your servant also has some use for it. Though these items are fine, Holy Mother, they are completely useless to your servant. Those 1,000-year medicinal ginseng roots are but a good medicine to give your wife to mend her body. Waifu, what do you say? Su Xing glanced sideways at Wu Siyou. Wu Siyou pursed her lips, her expression clearly stating she was uninterested. That red cloud cloak is a magic weapon. It can guard against water and fire, defy hellfire, and it can also resist sealing script. If this was the Azure Dragon Territory, this item is worth several billion. Holy Mother Qi Xia faintly smiled, pointing to a rainbow-colored Immortals clothing. That Immortals clothing was indeed extraordinary, its treasure light bubbling forth, talisman script flashing. It should have no problem being valued at 3 billion, but the problem was that this magic weapon was even more useless to Su Xing. Looking at the apathetic Wu Siyou, Su Xing feigned helplessness. Holy Mother Qi Xia smiled, but she was not angry. She could tell that the married couple before her was always steady and calm. To remain unmoved, it was evident they had seen even more rare items. Otherwise, ordinary galaxy stage cultivators would have had a rush of excitement upon seeing these magic medicines and treasures. It seems I have underestimated the ken of you too. The maids collected the items. Holy Mother Qi Xia pondered a moment. Then, she used sound transmission, and a maid nodded, excusing herself. Another maid then filled cups of fine wine for Su Xing and Wu Siyou. Seeing from your out-of-the-ordinary appearances, I wonder from whence you studied. Holy Mother Qi Xia drained the jade fluid, feigning leisure as she asked. Your servant and my wife are free and unfettered by nature. We have no school nor sect. Su Xing knew she had begun to doubt his and Wu Siyou's identities as star cultivators. However, Su Xing was not worried. Even if she found out he was truly a star master, she would not dare do anything. It seems your Majesty's wife is apparently somewhat not too happy. I wonder if it was because Red Cloud Hall did not properly greet you? Holy Mother Qi Xia smiled. This is how my wife is. Your servant asks the Holy Mother to not take offense. Su Xing cupped his hands. Holy Mother Qi Xia laughed, none taken, none taken. To be able to cultivate to galaxy late stage at such a young age, this makes me feel admiration. Holy Mother Qi Xia chatted sentence by sentence. Su Xing naturally was quite familiar with this type of sly inquiry of hers to conduct an investigation. Roughly several cups of tea later, 6 maids once again stepped forward with items. This time, the items were not as many, with only 2, and each was covered with a red embroidered cover. These are items of mine that still have some value. If your Majesty again does not place them in your eyes, then I truly have nothing else. Su Xing dismissed with a laugh Holy Mother Qi Xia's words that were apparently both soft and hard. Holy Mother Qi Xia had the maid open the red cover, and this time, Wu Siyou very curiously cast her gaze. The first was a piece of jade about the size of 2 fists. This jade was sparkling and translucent, a rainbow light lingering in its interior, its reflected splendor filling the room. This was a piece of excellent, rainbow light glass jade. 2. When this jade was sanded into a fine powder and used to pour spirit materials into artifacts and astral tools, it could possibly add a rainbow light. It could resist evil spirits, repel miasma, and particularly as far as female cultivators were concerned, the property of the rainbow light glass jade to emit iridescent and multicolored light received no small measure of love. Furthermore, this rainbow light glass jade could beautify the face and delay aging. In the Azure Dragon Territory, it was a madly coveted object, and it was like the makeup that the women of modern society loved. Liangshan continent's high-class ladies were quite fond of this sort of thing. Su Xing estimated that for this large of a quantity, if done properly, it could be sold for 10 billion without a problem. This first piece of rainbow light glass jade made Su Xing somewhat interests. Although it was useless to him, it was pretty good to send as a gift to his now 6 beauties. However, Su Xing remained calm and collected as before. For the so-called business deal, he could not let the other see his own urgency, so as to avoid falling to a disadvantageous position. Holy Mother Siyou originally used this rainbow light glass jade specifically for Wu Siyou. Seeing the two were still indifferent, she hinted for the next item. The second item was a massive spirit flower. This flower was verdant and tender, each petal bloomed to the finest part. It had white bell-like buds that were heavy, somewhat similar to the Chinese lantern flower in shape. 3. It emitted a serene scent that seeped into the soul, and a brief sniff could make one feel full of vigor. Upon seeing this item, Su Xing's expression could not help but tremble, his heart surging into a perilous situation. This unexpectedly was Thousand Bells Immortals Dew. The Thousand Bells Immortals Dew was given the name Thousand Bells because the buds appeared similar to little bells, with each possessing 100 flowers. Each bud contained a worldly spiritual power dew, which was known as the Thousand Bells Dew. This was a significant strange flower in the Azure Dragon territory. It grew in places with the quintessence of heaven and earth. During the day, it absorbed morning dew, and during the night, it brewed moonlight. Legends said each Thousand Bells Immortals Dew could let the star energy of star cultivators at or below supercluster stage instantly recover to a complete state, and this was the reason it was called Thousand Bells Immortals Dew. As far as a supercluster stage cultivator was concerned, this simply was a supreme panacea. From time immemorial, Liangshan continent's star energy recovery medicines were mostly expensive and were scarce at best. Naturally formed strange flowers like the Thousand Bells Immortals Dew had each petal valued at a value of at least 10 million and above. This stock was more than 10 billion without doubt. However, panaceas like the Thousand Bells Immortals Dew that could pull strongly against a crazy tide at the critical moment could not possibly be sold by cultivators. Holy Mother Siyou was a supervoid cultivator, so the Thousand Bells Immortals Dew was useless to her. Seeing that Su Xing and Wu Siyou were of galaxy cultivation and thus using it for an exchange, it could be seen she actually would use her hard-earned capital for 6 billion of gold. Of these rainbow light glass jade and Thousand Bells Immortals Dew, your majesty can choose one of them for an exchange. Holy Mother Siyou smiled self-confidently. This rainbow light glass jade was an extremely great attraction towards women, and the Thousand Bells Immortals Dew was a galaxy stage's panacea. She was not afraid of Su Xing being unmoved. Sai Xing muttered to himself. To say that his heart was unmoved was to lie to himself. When he saw the Thousand Bells Immortals Dew, Su Xing had an urge to steal it. His miraculous Bodhi tree practically exhausted his star energy with each single use. If he had this Thousand Bells Immortals Dew, he completely could get rid of the future consequences. With regards to entering the evil smiting hall, there was also much benefit, but Su Xing did not agree without restraint. Rather, he feigned hesitation. Su Xing was a cunning fox. Since this Holy Mother Siyou dared to bring out two items with values exceeding 10 billion, she clearly did not care in the slightest. Otherwise, simply bringing out the Thousand Bells Immortals Dew was sufficient to make Su Xing agree. In other words, what she actually wanted was to rope in Wu Siyou. Seeing the rainbow light glass jade seemingly prepared just for Siyou, his thoughts rapidly churned, and Su Xing then had a countermeasure. Could it be these were unable to interest you? Then I truly am helpless. Holy Mother Siyou laughed. No, Holy Mother is actually too generous. Either of these two items brought to the Azure Dragon territory can be valued at more than 10 billion. Su Xing spoke forthrightly. For this value he believed the Mount Danxia overlord's heart was clear. However, since she did not take these to the Azure Dragon territory to exchange for gold, evidently, there was some secret motive. Holy Mother Siyou showed a trace of admiration. As expected, Your Highness is candid. Then I wonder if there are any more misgivings. To be quite honest, these several billions of gold is due to my beloved wife Siyou's very significant contributions. This Su does not dare selfishly think only of himself, but Holy Mother has also seen it. My lovely wife already is Galaxy late stage and on the verge of entry into Supercluster stage. This 1,000 bells Immortals do is not useful to her, but that rainbow light glass jade is actually should be accorded to my beloved wife, Su Xing said as he looked deeply affectionately at Wu Siyou. Wu Siyou immediately understood the intent of Su Xing's confession. She secretly sneered in her heart, and upon her lips, she faintly said, "Lord husband can just take the 1,000 bells Immortals do." Your servant naturally thinks of Lord husband. Su Xing was dumbfounded, for he had never thought that Wu Siyou would refer to him as Lord Husband. He looked apologetically at Holy Mother Xia. Since choosing anyone would be hard to avoid benefiting the other's shadow, your servant can only reluctantly decline. Holy Mother Xia slightly smiled, her tone gentle. Your Majesty and your wife are deeply in love with each other, sure enough. Whatever I do, I would actually consider it somewhat dissatisfactory. I feel very much like a kindred spirit of your wife. I wonder if your wife would be willing to become sisters with me, so this rainbow light glass jade can be treated as a gift for little sister. Su Xing wildly perspired. Although he knew Holy Mother Xia had intentions of enticement, he did not expect she would raise the idea of becoming sworn sisters with Wu Siyou. How could the Grand Harem Star Pilgrim Wusong ever recognize her as elder sister? My wife's natural disposition is aloof. Other than your servant, she is not willing to speak to anyone. Su Xing helplessly said. Holy Mother Xia waved her hand, unconcerned about this. I also do not speak often. In the future, little sister and her husband can come to Mount Danxia often to stretch their legs. Su Xing looked at Wu Siyou. Seeing she was very indifferent, he stepped forward and cupped his fist. Then your servant thanks the Holy Mother on wife's behalf. Family need not address me as Holy Mother. No need to be shy, it will do to address me as elder sister Su Qiong. 5. Holy Mother Xia smiled sweetly. Su Xing thanks sister Su Qiong. Su Xing had no choice but to concede that the Holy Mother Xia before him and the supervoid cultivator in the legends were, sure enough, not too similar. Afterwards, Su Qiong and the two intimately chatted the daily life of the family, with quite the concern for the bedroom affairs of Wu Siyou and Su Xing. This made Su Xing somewhat embarrassed, for the discourse even asked Su Xing about the pressures of having such a beautiful wife and so on. She even specially gave Wu Siyou a rare book used by dual cultivators for sex, Fine Ladies' Essence Gathering. 6. And Wu Siyou put on a masterful performance, expressionlessly actually accept it. Which made Su Xing's glasses fall askew. Finally, Holy Mother Xia Su Qiong invited Su Xing and Wu Siyou to rest the night in Red Cloud's Hall. Having just received such a great favor as the rainbow light glass jade, Su Xing was hard-pressed to decline such kindness. Walking upon the corridor, Su Xing could not help but be excited. He never thought that he could surprisingly manage to get the extremely rare 1,000 bells Immortals due for the evil smiting hall of the Vermilion Bird territory, which could be considered an enormous gain. Take it. Wu Siyou waved her hand, displeased. The rainbow light glass jade and that fine lady's essence gathering flew into Su Xing's hands. Wu Siyou had not interest whatsoever in these two items. This rainbow light glass jade was gifted to you. Su Xing looked at her. It is useless in your servant's hands. Do you not have little sister Tang Lianxin? It so happens that you can take it for her to use. Wu Siyou suddenly thought of something. She extended her hand to take the fine lady essence gathering secret text. Su Xing promptly shielded it. This shameless action made Wu Siyou's mouth twitch several times. This thing had best be given to your servant to destroy. The book is one of this continent's most precious legacies, and you unexpectedly want to destroy it? Each book has recorded into it the links of Liangshan continent's civilization, and each link is like the star duels, a generation's hard work. You believe that you are destroying a single book, but in reality, you are destroying one link of Liangshan continent's civilization. This sort of hackles-raising matter. Can you really do this, waifu? Su Xing began to babble. Wu Siyou's brows rose. She coldly said, your servant knows you have a tongue like a reed. Your servant may not be able to speak over you, but should you dare to do anything obscene to Ingmei, your servant will not let you off. Does a kiss count as obscene? Su Xing chuckled. Wu Siyou pursed her lips, her expression ferocious as if she wanted to devour him. Alright, waifu. I was never one to force my women. Su Xing's hand was placed on Wu Siyou's shoulder, their appearance intimate. Wu Siyou shook her shoulder, flinging aside that hand. The harm star certainly could not be that casually taken advantage of as the solitary star. You truly are a person of unfathomable mystery. Why do you call out such a fabricated address so smoothly? I'm the one that's strange. Just now, didn't you address me as Lord Husband? Didn't we agree on hubby? Since others believe we are husband and wife, what does it matter what we address each other as? In the end, the result was still the same. Wu Siyou's words made Su Xing rather amazed. The harm star's natural and unrestrained conduct was beyond expectation, and neither did she care about these elaborate details. Sure enough, she proved herself to be Liangshan's pilgrim. The more Su Xing looked at Wu Siyou, the more he liked her. This still was the first time that he had the urge to sign a contract. So you really want to become enemies with Ingmei? Your servant truly does not have the heart for this, Su Xing said regretfully. Wu Siyou had an, I know what you want to say, expression. Your servant will not become enemies with Ingmei, but do not think that you can sign a contract with your servant. That honestly is still rather self-contradictory. Su Xing said. Wu Siyou was silent, but her eyes suddenly had an indescribable frustration. If she truly was his wife, Su Xing really wanted to hug her in a loving embrace. It was a pity that if he were to actually do this, the joy of his lower body would probably be sheared by Wu Siyou. Just during the time that Su Xing was having regrets, he suddenly saw several people walk over. His expression changed, and he leaned to the side, pushing the somewhat absent-minded Wu Siyou onto a bed. What are you doing? Wu Siyou's pupils stared blankly, releasing an icy chill. There are enemies. Su Xing said in a low voice, his face covering itself in the sea of Wu Siyou's fine, black hair. Wu Siyou grit her teeth. She suddenly glimpsed the people approaching, and restraining her heart's impulses, she could only allow Su Xing to press against her body. She felt that her chest had been tightly pushed down upon, giving her a stifling feeling. The ones approaching were Chu He and a distinguished and elegant man wearing a purple gold crown. The two glanced at them, somewhat puzzled, but they did not pay that much mind as they walked directly to the hall. Only when they disappeared did Su Xing exhale. He retreated several steps, for before Wu Siyou killed him, he gave an earnest explanation. That girl just now is named Chu He, and she is a star master. You know her? Wu Siyou's fury instantly was eliminated in astonishment. Still remember when I was chased by Great Sage Falling Sky? Su Xing then summarized the events. Since she is a star master, why would she go to Five Poisons Mountain to die? Wu Siyou wrinkled her brow. Su Xing guessed, perhaps something happened at Five Poisons Mountain. The man with her just now is unexpectedly supervoid early stage. It seems he is a cultivator from the Azure Dragon territory that wants to chase me. This was a trap to kill me, huh? Forget it, let's silently observe the others. Su Xing saw that the unexpected supervoid cultivator and Chu He had gone to see Holy Mother Su Qiong. It seemed the time had come for Su Qiong to receive her reward for the continuous invitations and entertainment. Wu Siyou stared pensively at Su Xing. That elder sister just now truly is a beauty. Chu He praised. What a pity her man is but Galaxy early stage. The man with Chu He was the most high paths envious of the East. He wore his customary absent-minded expression on his face. I hear the purple thunder monster you wish to chase down is also Galaxy early stage. Chu He blinked. Although he is Galaxy early stage and has nevertheless killed several supercluster stage cultivators, he is a star master and naturally cannot be compared. Furthermore, he has the legendary panther head Lin Chong. Envious of the East spoke bluntly. Chu He's eyes were in adoration, to be able to sign Lin Chong, Chu-hee truly longs to see what the Purple Thunder monster looks like. I, too, would like to see. Envious of the East sneered. Entering the hall, Holy Mother Qixia sat upright on a throne. How could the warm and gentle attitude she had previously not long ago with elder sister and little brother Su Xing be seen? Her expression was serious. Envious, I have not seen you for a long time. Holy Mother Qixia spoke. Su Qiong, you actually are younger and younger. Your cultivation also seems to have progressed very well. Envious of the East nodded his head. There is no need to speak any more rubbish. The matter this time is important. Holy Mother Qixia waved her hand, making all the maids withdraw, leaving only Envious of the East and Chu-hee. This is only natural. Otherwise, why would we come? Envious of the East nodded and sat on the chair with a flourish of his large sleeves. To what stage have things currently reached? Chu-hee, you speak. Holy Mother Qixia indicated. Chu-hee saluted, then brought out a jade strip. The array of 5 poisons mountain has already been completely recorded. It only needs to be broken, and then the forbid dance can be broken. Envious of the East took the jade strip. His divine intent swept, and he inwardly nodded. As if nothing had happened, he said, I heard the Rock Demon King's body sustaining an injury is true. Yes. He was wounded by a star general. Chu-hee nodded. This is indeed a great opportunity. If you still want to hesitate, if you wait until the 10,000-year Gu appears, then the Azure Dragon territory will be in danger. Holy Mother Qixia faintly warned. Is Mount Danxia not dangerous as well? Envious of the East laughed. The 10,000-year Gu, Envious of the East naturally knew its power. In the even this sort of Gu was born. It was something that could easily dispatch him. Just how is Lady Snake Scorpion able to refine the 10,000-year Gu? Is it not a poison Gu of myth? Holy Mother Qixia guessed, most probably it coincides with the star duels. With the help of those poisonous scorpions the Xia twins, the attraction of 2 stars has made all of the bugs even more formidable than before. Drawing support from arrays and the like, Lady Snake Scorpion refining that 10,000-year Gu has been verified. Ever since the Rock Demon King constructed the Jade Alum Palace, I have continuously blockaded 5 Poisons Mountain. Now, with all kinds of clear signs, this 10,000-year Gu is about to come into being. Have those cultivators been prepared? Envious of the East asked. More than 100 are from the Azure Dragon territory. Their cultivations are at galaxy stage. Not bad. Although their cultivation is commonplace, acting as cannon fodder would still be pretty good. I hear that forbid dance on 5 Poisons Mountain is very powerful, not easy to break through. Envious of the East nodded, looking upon the live of an entire crowd of cultivators like crickets and ants. Are they the only ones that will do this? Holy Mother Qixia was doubtful. Su Qiong, you still are so kind. Regardless of what this flock of cultivators does, is there a second choice? Envious of the East sipped his fine wine, praising, this, Danxia rain broth, too, makes one linger and forget to go home, as expected. Su Qiong kept silent. That Purple Thunder monster, Su Qiong, have you found him? Envious of the East squinted his eyes into an ice-cold line. Lin Chong was not found. Could he have gone to the Black Turtle territory? Envious of the East stroked his chin. Since that Purple Thunder monster dares to kill supercluster stage cultivators, it must be that he has backing. Why should you chase to kill him? To be able to sign the Panther head for the first time in 1,000 years, I see that not provoking him would be better. Su Qiong advised. It is precisely because he can kill supercluster stage cultivators that he must die. Envious of the East coldly grinned. Right, the Vermilion Bird territory has most recently turned up a galaxy early stage cultivator that can contend against the Rock Demon King in speed. Could he be the Purple Thunder monster? Su Qiong asked. It could not possibly be him. The Purple Thunder monster should not have this sort of capability. Envious of the East shook his head, not knowing whether it was because of unwillingness to accept that he could compare with the Rock Demon King, or if he subconsciously recognized the purple thunder monster would be so defiant of the natural order. Holy Mother Chi Xia Su Qiong smiled, but she said nothing more. Returning to the hall, the moment Su Xing appeared. Brother Su Xing, what did the Holy Mother invite you for? Fang Xiangu worriedly met with Su Xing. He was somewhat anxious and feared his introductions had exposed Su Xing to Holy Mother Chi Xia and gave rise to trouble for Su Xing. Nothing much. Holy Mother Chi Xia Su Xiong hoped to conceal the matter of her purchasing gold, so Su Xing did not speak directly. Seeing Su Xing not speak, Fang Xiangu did not persist. As far as the secret rumors of a supervoid cultivator, the less he knew, the better. Most recently, something has apparently occurred in the Vermilion Bird territory. Fang Xiangu shifted topics. What major event? Only then did Su Xing find out from Fang Xiangu's words that recently, Azure Dragon territory cultivators had been invited to secretly live in the Red Cloud's palace. In addition, the ancestors and everything of the 10 great sects reportedly had entered secluded meditation in the Red Cloud's hall. All of the cultivators could faintly guess that something was not too favorable, discussing in private that they had been brought to confront the purple thunder monster. However, to have this sort of battle formation to handle the purple thunder monster made people feel this was somewhat overkill. Connecting it to the Rock Demon King utilizing giant rock spreads its wings and flies 90,000 li in his chase and falling to an injured state, Fang Xiangu said, your servant fears it is something to do with Lady Snake Scorpion. She has have done something to compel the Azure Dragon territory to feel fear. The Azure Dragon territory's great sects cultivators pretend that Rock Demon King's chase perhaps lured him into a trap that he would sustain injury. Otherwise, there is nothing else about him. Brother Fang actually sees things very clearly. This was all said by your servant's cousin, Yanran. Fang Xiangu laughed. The Zhen Yanran beside him bit down on nephrite cake, her expression absent-minded, ambiguously saying, the results will naturally become apparent tomorrow, deep night, after the feast dispersed. Under the guidance of maids, Su Xing walked into the room that Su Qiong arranged. Sitting on top of the bed, Su Xing was still thinking of Zhen Yanran's words. Things are somewhat fishy. Wu Siyou grimly began to speak. I feel the same. It seems we can only wait until tomorrow to see. Su Xing nodded. Wu Siyou pursed her lips, staring expressionlessly at Su Xing. Su Xing stared blankly, looked in all directions, and he suddenly understood as his brow erupted in sweat. Could it be that he and Wu Siyou truly needed to sleep in the same bed like a married couple? We sleep together. Su Xing's eyes rolled. Su Xing and Wu Siyou gazed at each other. The atmosphere was somewhat silent. Gongsun Huang emerged from the star nest and sat on Su Xing's shoulders. Her body did not have any weight, and her gaze at the two people staring at each other was neither saddened nor delighted. However, there was a sort of feeling that she was watching a spectacle. I might as well sleep on the chair, and you sleep on the bed. Su Xing yawned. With regards to the heavens as a quilt and the earth as a mat, sleeping in a chair was a very high-grade joy. Wu Siyou agreed. She honestly did not have any reason to let a man sleep together with her. This simply was madness. Gongsun Huang blinked and looked at Su Xing. Little Huang, go to the star nest to sleep. Su Xing said to her. Gongsun Huang lightly kissed Su Xing's cheek. Like mist, her figure entered the star nest to concentrate fully on self-cultivation. The cool and elegant beauty undressed on the bed. Although they were separated by a hanging screen, the curves that the cloth vaguely showed nevertheless made him stir. Just as his beastly desires were about to be unleashed, Su Xing grabbed at his hair. He seized the chance to practice the absolute sincerity soul technique, for the Wu Siyou on the bed was not undressing at all. Rather, she had pulled her clothes tighter and crouched, leaned against the wall with her arms crossed over her chest, her two legs twisting. As far as Wu Siyou was concerned, sleeping in the same room as a man for the night was more inconceivable than signing a contract. Although she had the hanging screen as a partition, she still felt a sort of unprecedented odd unease. There was nothing ambiguous, only a moonlight calm as still waters passing through the windows and pouring out, covering the floor in white. He did not know how long had passed, but Su Xing opened his eyes, glanced at the bed and suddenly stepped several paces towards the window. He had been sharp as he passed through Red Cloud Mountain. Going past several winding corridors, past several courtyards, he then came to a back mountain. Red Cloud Mountain deserved to be called a precious place. The moonlight was abundant, he was carefree and relaxed. Sneak, still won't come out. Su Xing chuckled. A silhouette immediately walked out. The newcomer was an attractive man of sharp brows and starry eyes, red lips and white teeth. Long Out Yen disdainfully smiled. Is your nose sharp? Is this your personal strength? I am a very democratic man. Su Xing yawned. You want to peep at my waifu, say it. It will be you castrating yourself. Or I can just take that dog life of yours. You, a galaxy early stage cultivator, dares to be this arrogant? Long Hour Tian felt this was laughable to the extreme. His expression was even more incomparably detestable. What qualifications does your cultivation have that you should live so happily? This Long Out Yen could not bear to see the Su Xing with a cultivation lower than his own by 2 levels to unexpectedly be able to have a galaxy late-stage beauty. You gigolo had best leave her if you have tact. I can settle you without using artifacts. Su Xing hooked his lips into a disdainful smile. Arrogance must pay the price. Long Out Yen shouted. Su Xing scratched his head. Was this guy hitting his own face? Long Out Yen's figure moved, and his 2 fists combined. Since Su Xing declared his price of not using artifacts, Long Out Yen naturally would not lower his own status. In actuality, he felt Su Xing had already dug his own grave. Previously, in order to be able to comparable to a star general, he had but cultivated close-quarters martial cultivation with all his might. It was unknown how many cultivators had perished in close quarters, and it was precisely because of this that Long Out Yen would be this egotistical. With his galaxy late-stage cultivation against Su Xing's galaxy early stage, Long Out Yen had already planned to cut his arms and legs completely off. At the very end, he would then sever that tongue. The moment Long Out Yen acted, Su Xing could discern this guy still had some assets. However, arrogant people always had some assets. Even if it was this type of asset, it was unable to withstand a single blow. Then, I'll send you on a journey, Su Xing sneered as he charged forward. 2 figures tangled in a battle against each other on the back mountain. Although their cultivations were a little apart in comparison, these realms of cultivation were only a deceptive signboard as far as Su Xing was concerned. His star energy could be compared with a supercluster stage, and after Su Xing fought the fiery-eyed Swan and he currently worried about to what degree he could handle cultivators on his own. Now, someone had been delivered to his doorstep, so Su Xing naturally would not mind. The first time those 2 fists joined, Long Out Yen had been repeatedly pushed back enough that he vomited blood. Su Xing's power could make this man feel his internal organs rupture. His face bled from its orifices, and Long Out Yen thought he had seen wrong. He angrily roared, concentrating his star energy onto his fist. I am going to trample you to death. Long Out Yen's expression sunk, his pupils flashing a cold light. His arrogance had disappeared, there was only a fierce expression. A powerful star energy flew out of his body and stuck tightly onto him, as if mixing into a single body. It seemed this Long Out Yen had practiced an odd cultivation method. Su Xing's front glowed, and he remained unruffled in the face of chaos. Boom! Bang! The back mountain's open space suddenly erupted with a large ball of wind pressure. Trees toppled, and sand and stones rolled, for that wind pressure was like a hurricane that spun beside them. It covered the sky and earth as it pressed towards Su Xing. Long Out Yen's pupils were thoroughly red in the night. Su Xing's figure abruptly disappeared. Long Out Yen was stunned. He had yet to return to his senses, but then he saw Su Xing's figure was just like a phantom of the night, rapidly descending to his front. Long Outyan's arms suddenly protected his front, joined tightly together. Afterwards, he spread out his arms, and the shadow was completely dissipated from his surroundings. It was just that at this time, Su Xing's attack had arrived with a flurry of fists. Continuous banging sounds. His right hand's palm chop flashed like crescent moon as it passed, directly ripping apart Long Outyan's figure, mercilessly striking Long Outyan's chin. An immense and even terrifying power instantly erupted, striking Long Outyan's head fiercely backwards so that it faced upwards. Tears, snot and saliva instantly sprayed wildly, and that malevolent face contorted, an appearance of bleakness, misery and shock. In an instant, this galaxy late-stage man had tasted a sort of unprecedented fear. Furthermore, he immediately realized the man in front of him was also a martial cultivator. He had fallen into a trap. Su Xing did not pause whatsoever. He jumped, his body suddenly sliding up alongside Long Outyan's upward-facing head, rolling beautifully in midair. His other leg brought the sound of wind as it again mercilessly sliced against Long Outyan's body. The leftover strength had not yet faded. His arms and legs were like a windmill, carrying a terrifying sharp whistle that successively sliced the same position. The sharp ripping sound was just like a death god's sinister laughter. However, in that short instant, the shadows of his fists and legs surrounded Long Outyan's body, the movements wild and linked. Flowers of blood spattered, and his silhouette was already spun away. Relying on his galaxy late-stage star energy, the barely standing Long Outyan violently roared out a mouthful of dirty blood. However, in their brief face-to-face, the galaxy early-stage cultivator in front of him gave him a nearly fatal strike. His entire body from his internal organs already began to burst forth with huge wounds, just as if he was a complaining woman that had been struck 100 different ways. Impossible, how could a galaxy early-stage cultivator, surprisingly be able to harm me? The Long Outyan injured to a critical state spoke incoherently. His body shook without stop as an intense pain engulfed his whole body. Anger ignited his will, and his eyes were already completely blood-red, just as if he had gone mad. His body suddenly soared. Although he had already lost the ability to speak, Long Outyan's actions nevertheless expressed his intense fury, as if he could not believe this fact. This was a matter that was barely an instant as he fiercely rushed at Su Xing. A frightening wind pressure showered down upon him. One hand seemingly became a sharp claw that hid the skies and covered the crazily pressed down, exceptionally vicious. The knight seemingly became his most sharp weapon, tearing towards Su Xing together. Su Xing fell back several steps. Seeing that Long Outyan's attack this time was simply leaving the door wide open, his right leg kicked, directly striking Long Outyan's stomach. Along with several of his ribs fracturing, Long Outyan opened his eyes wide as he was kicked to the ground. Courting, Long Outyan loudly yelled. He finally thought to use something, but how could Su Xing give him the chance? After he kicked him, Su Xing flashed past, directly brushing past Long Outyan. His hand already had a sharp blade. Long Outyan had only just said, courting, but his next word came to an abrupt end. His neck had an additional line of blood as he immediately fell onto the ground and breathed his last. Su Xing coldly looked at this man of rampant name. Taking his astral bag, he took out several corpse-destroying talismans, to eliminate his body. As far as this sort of man courting death that was sent to his doorstep was concerned, Su Xing would never be thankful for him. That last move just now was rather fierce, and I don't know what it was. Su Xing rummaged through Long Outyan's astral bag. The more he looked, the more he was astonished. As it turned out, this man was a thieving scum. The items inside his bag were innumerable, and their varieties were also myriad, having everything. An ordinary cultivator simply could not possibly bring this many varied things that he could not use at once. Having not used them, a bit of thought would reveal he had stolen them. This guy's death truly was a grievance. Su Xing clicked his tongue. Just artifacts alone, he had more than 40 or 50, and there were even several magic weapons, hundreds of bottles of pills, and talismans numbering more than 1,000. There was even a supreme grade talisman, God Transformation Talisman. 3. Upon seeing this talisman, Su Xing felt that Long Outyin dying was very unresigned. It was not out of the question for this supreme-grade talisman to be able to handle supercluster cultivators. No wonder this Long Outyin was so unbridled. Artifacts, pills, talismans, materials and more were all uncountable. However, Su Xing did not place the majority of them in his eyes. Actually, a secret text of a cultivation method made Su Xing feel very interested. The 9 Claws True Dragon Art seemed to be that cultivation Long Outyin practiced. Su Xing looked over it, and it was incredible, as expected, a ruthless claw technique. Suddenly striking during close quarters, it could easily rip apart artifacts. If it was an unaware cultivator, he would have perhaps been easily beheaded. Su Xing could actually take it to practice it. Besides this, there was an introductory Gu Poison Art, Poison Border Gu Art. 5. There would be help using it to research Gongsun Huang's Gu Poison Art. After inspecting the entire contents of the astral bag, Su Xing also found a second ghost pearl. Su Xing discovered that this Long Outyin truly was fucking awesome. It was unknown how many cultivators he had killed, how many debts of blood from conspiracy to murder, but converting everything into gold, the value was more than 10 billion. As far as star cultivators were concerned, this absolutely was an astronomical figure. Just as Su Xing was about to leave, he suddenly spotted that at the place Long Outyin's corpse turned to ashes, there was an object that twinkled. Generally speaking, if the flying sword star cultivators nurtured were not used, they would be entirely destroyed alongside their owner. However, it seemed that this Long Outyin had seemingly left something behind, so Su Xing curiously walked over. That was a golden ring, with multiple talisman scripts sparkling, its luster lingering. Golden Immortals Linked Life Ring. 6. When Su Xing saw this item, he was startled. Astonishingly, this was the ranked 108th Hound Star Golden-Haired Hound Duan Jingzhu's 7. Destined Star Weapon. This guy unexpectedly disposed of a star general. Just as Su Xing was swearing, at a faraway place, Siyou opened her eyes, and her figure sunk into the dark night. The next day. Red Cloud Main Hall. Cultivators were jam-packed within, bustling about their respective business, without the drink and merriment of yesterday. There was now a sort of seriousness, as if facing a great enemy. Su Xing and Siyou stayed far apart from the crowd. They leaned in front of a stone pillar, their cold eyes observing. Elder sister Siyou, it seems you did not sleep well last night. Zheng Yanran wore that golden cup chrysanthemum dress, yawning. As far as star generals were concerned, things like sleep were not essential. It was just that staying in a room with a man for the first time made Siyou appear comparatively worn out. Su Xing's energy, on the other hand, was exceptionally good. This guy was a person ready to adapt to the situation. His unexpectedly destroying that fraudulent Long Outyin last night made Su Xing receive a great bumper harvest, and he had forgotten about Siyou's affairs. Now it seemed that Su Xing's great vitality and Siyou's unbearable exhaustion made Fang Xiangu and Zheng Yanran show ambiguous yet knowing smiles. By Siyou's personality, she naturally disdained to explain anything. Not long after, the noisy hall slowly went silent. Before the person even came, a powerful imposing aura made the entire hall's air seemingly freeze. Everyone was as if they had been stuffed in the mouths with something. They saw from the main hall's passage, 8 silhouettes slowly walked over. The posture of these men and women were superb, their temperaments extraordinary. Each and every movement had a sort of fearful pressure, and all the galaxy stage cultivators present tingled in the back, as if they were sitting on needles. These 8 people were, astonishingly, the ancestral masters of the Azure Dragon Territory's 10 great sects. Siyou specifically glanced at Su Xing's reaction. The latter narrowed his eyes, a somewhat deep and immeasurable gaze. Such an incredible imposing air. Are those the monster-level ancestral masters of the 10 great sects? Fang Xiangu swallowed. Among these 8, Su Xing was somewhat or very familiar with, the true Immortals Hall's Xianzhenzi, Lifeless Hall's ancestor Longevity, and Gong Caiwei's master, the Queen Lady of Ice. For the 4 others, besides the Red Lotus Fairy that he saw once at Long Blood Stronghold, there were 3 he was more unfamiliar with. That one with the green leaf robes is Taoist Master Qing Lian, the Tai Sword Sect's ancestral master. That is Ancestor Qianli of the Blooming Water Sword Sect, that is the Shifting Flower Sword Sect's Lingbo Fairy, too, and the Supervoid Stage Envious of the East. Fang Xangu introduced them in a low voice. Su Xing secretly nodded his head. These 8 had joined forces to chase him, but all of them gathering at once right now at Red Cloud Hall was actually somewhat strange. Holy Mother Qi Xia was also present. She waved her hand, and the hall's main doors were tightly shut. The multicolored lights vanished, and the air was heavy. The cultivators were in a fit of restlessness. I am envious of the East. Today's invitation here too is because I have something I wish to consult with everyone. That distinguished and elegant man, that giant among men, began to speak. Senior envious cultivation is exceptional. What can we juniors do? Only an outstanding talent could recognize current trends. 3. Everyone present were Galaxy Stage cultivators, having seen gales and billows. Seeing 8 great cultivators mobilize, their brief confusion immediately settled. The one who posed the question was a tough and stocky tall man, draped in a bear pelt vest. His forehead was full, his eyes were sharp, and he was at Galaxy Late Stage. To be able to be the first to ask a question in the face of the pressure of 8 great cultivators, this made Su Xing unable to but take a closer look. Everyone here is but an elite of the Azure Dragon territory. Envious of the East sat upon a jade chair, his hand rhythmically tapping. This is naturally so. How could the others dare say no when they saw this envious of the East's self-confident situation? Very good. Your servant has not made an error in judgment. Everyone is of a generation with great aspirations. Envious of the East smiled. May I ask just what matter Senior has? Is it the purple thunder monster? A female cultivator courteously asked. Ancestor Qianli made a gloomy smile. That purple thunder monster must die, without doubt, but this ancestor alone is sufficient to handle him. Why would we need to call upon you youngsters? The female cultivator went back in embarrassment. This situation is this. The Lingbo Fairy of the Shifting Flower Sword Sect wearing a blue long-skirted gown glanced at everyone. We have just learned that the 10,000-year gu of Falling Dragon Mountain's Lady Snake Scorpion is already about to be born. What? The 10,000-year gu, is it truly the 10,000-year gu? That is certainly a fearsome animal from prehistory. All of the cultivators erupted, each and everyone feeling alarm. A gu of more than 1,000 years was a fearsome beast, and 5,000 years was an absolutely fearsome beast. 10,000 years. Perhaps transforming Star of Annihilation grade star cultivators would be forced to deliberate for a while. No wonder the 5 Poisons Mountain was that strict. This Lady Snake Scorpion's ambitions are truly not small. Su Xing clicked his tongue. Should she refine a 10,000-year gu, the star duels would be entirely in her control. Is there any way this is wrong? The previous big man said doubtfully. Could it be that you suspect we would deceive you juniors? Ancestor Qianli coldly smiled. His imposing air made the big man overflow with cold sweat. I do not dare. Since it is the 10,000-year gu, just what can we do? A cultivator was confused. By the powers of the seniors, to kill the 10,000-year gu still is not very easy. Right. Everyone nodded in agreement. Holy Mother Qi Xia at this time said, by means of us 8, indeed we can break through, but that Rock Demon King planned 10 years ahead, laying down a forbid dance on 5 Poisons Mountain. These forbid dances and mechanisms are layered, and furthermore, the demi-soldiers and demi-kings of 5 Poisons Mountain are numerous. Relying solely on 8 cultivators is still somewhat weak. In order to prevent side issues from arising, that is why we need everyone to work together for a common purpose. And, because the Rock Demon King was injured by my attack, this time is a great opportunity. Envious of the East faintly said. Hearing his words, everyone trembled. Su Xing felt this man was honestly shameless, unexpectedly saying it was he who inflicted the injuries. However, this formlessly gave all the cultivators present an increase in irresistible pressure. We are scattered stars that consider the whole world as home. I fear this sort of matter is difficult to undertake. Since this concerns the fate of the Azure Dragon territory, Senior's disciples, and that Emperor Liang will be more willing to fight than us scattered star cultivators. This sentence spoke out everyone's thoughts. That appearance clearly said, your fucking Azure Dragon territory has the millions of disciples of the famous 10 great sects, galaxy stages in the thousands, yet you seeking us scattered star cultivators clearly shows you have ill intentions. This is a choice for lack of a better option. To order our disciples to come now is too late. Secondly, it will cause alarm in the other 3 powers of the Vermilion Bird territory. If another Azure Dragon war were to erupt, could it be that everyone wishes to see that? Envious of the East downplayed things with a smile. He practically was the chief-like existence among the 8 great cultivators. The others said not a word, allowing Envious of the East to become the lead role for everyone present. Envious of the East's words had reason and justification, they were sincere and natural. Although everyone knew he more or less had evil designs, they nevertheless were incapable of refuting him. Everyone looked at each other, secretly regretting they had entered this feast at Hongmen. Those that are higher up are more likely to speak pretty words. Zheng Yanran giggled, somewhat disdainful, they obviously know the dangers of 5 Poisons Mountain and do not wish to let their own disciples suffer casualties. They want to send us scattered star cultivators to our deaths. Do not speak nonsense. Fang Xengu covered Zheng Yanran's mouth in fright. How do you see this? Wu Siyou asked. What Zheng Yanran said was correct. Their sect star masters have not appeared, so evidently, this 5 Poisons Mountain is absolutely deadly. Su Xing said. I actually want to see how he executes this. A moment later, Envious of the East rose, his figure just like a large mountain, and everyone went mute. The corner of Envious of the East's mouth was slightly scornful, coldly saying, as for the reason why we have appeared, everyone presumably knows that we have also come for that purple thunder monster. With the Azure Dragon territory currently at stake, we 8 are even willing to give up on the purple thunder monster. Could it be that everyone refuses to face reality? In reality, everyone need not be too anxious. 5 Poisons Mountain has several forbid dance arrays that require everyone to go break. As for destroying the 10,000-year goo, leaving that to us will do, even if we 8 will hardly contend against this 5 poisons. The Lingbo Fairy softly said. In addition, for those participating in this matter, we will not treat everyone unfairly. The Holy Mother has already agreed to give each person 2 petals of 1,000 bells Immortals due to act as remuneration. The fellows participating in this 5 Poisons Mountain mission will forever have the 10 great sects as their ally. As we have said, if there are people who want to drift and live an existence without purpose, it would be better to allow this ancestor to might as well send them off. Ancestor Qianli laughed aloud, his tone containing a slight killing intent. These great cultivators where you speak, I speak, big stick with a radish, a kind and powerful exertion. They basically did not allow these cultivators to have a second option. Besides suffering in silence, everyone had no alternative but agreement. There were also some cultivators that secretly used their heads to stealthily leave. Envious of the East seemed to have anticipated this. The corner of his mouth hung a disdainful grin. I forgot to inform everyone, but the disciples of the Holy Mother have been careless the past few days. They carelessly poured evil conch blood into the liquor. It would be hard to say what happens if you do not ingest the antidote within 7 days. What? Everyone was alarmed, showing furious expressions. Evil conch blood? Fang Xangu was startled. Su Xing thought, as expected, these great sects leave no room to maneuver when they do things. Evil conch blood was a colorless and tasteless strange poison. After ingestion, if the cure was not taken within 7 days, the evil conch blood would activate. The cultivator's entire body would twist, bleed from the 7 apertures of the head and then die. Furthermore, this evil conch blood was not an ordinary poison. Detoxification pearls, and the like could not be used to cure it. 5. The evil conch blood was a poison art of the Vermilion Bird Territory's 100 Flowers clan. Without their magic, the poison would induce death in 7 days. Su Xing actually did not fear this. Star Masters with the star nests could rely on the star energy of their star general to expel the poison. Seeing that Fang Xiangu's expression was calm, Su Xing could not help but raise his eyebrows. Why should Senior be so overbearing? The big man gnashed his teeth. As matters stand, so long as we pass this 5 poisons mountain, the antidote will be self-offered. Do not resent our heartlessness. I am also afraid a traitor among everyone present may leak information to Falling Dragon Mountain. Then that would be anything but reassuring. I ask for your forgiveness. Envious of the East sincerely said. Although everyone knew these were superficial words, they dared only to be angry, but they did not dare to speak. It seems this matter is indeed severely dangerous. Then, we can only agree. Su Xing smiled. 6. When all the cultivators heard that, they had no alternative. They could only inwardly curse. These supercluster stage star cultivators had completed things to this stage, and for them to dare say no, they certainly would be treated as traitors and be disposed of. Very well. We will not forget everyone's loyalty. Envious of the East and the other sect ancestral masters glanced at each other, showing satisfied expressions. Then, Holy Mother Qi Xia's maids actually gave each cultivator 2 flowers of the 1,000 bells Immortals due. As far as galaxy stage cultivators were concerned, this was considered a sizable consolation. They thought only of passing 5 Poisons Mountain, and with the protection of the 8 great ancestral masters, perhaps it would not be dangerous. Thinking of this, they calmed. This is something the Holy Mother wanted slave servant to give to your majesty for use as protection. When the maid gave Su Xing and Wu Siyou their share of the 1,000 bells Immortals due, she stealthily brought out a treasure mirror and gave it to Wu Siyou along with 10 more flowers of the 1,000 bells Immortal due. Thanks. Su Xing thanked them on Wu Siyou's behalf, glancing at Holy Mother Qi Xia. This Holy Mother Qi Xia really was not that cold-blooded. It was just that when he raised his head to gaze at that envious of the East, that smug ancestral master star cultivator, this trip to 5 Poisons Mountain seemed to be one way. This mirror was approximately 3 inches, its surface like glass. The flash of red clouds it gave off were actually good-looking, and it seemed that this was a heavenly spirit-grade astral treasure. This mirror is named Shifting Star Mirror. If it reflects upon a goo, then the mirror will seal it. Breaking out is difficult. Holy Mother Qi Xia's sound transmission reached their minds, and Su Xing faintly nodded. He and Wu Siyou looked at each other pensively. Envious of the East was again giving an inspiring speech, and he even gave each person a piece of 5 Poisons Mountain's precious stones to act as a sect's keepsake in the future. His methods were exceptional, for this action incited the entire crowd into a fervor, firing them up. We shall trouble Holy Mother Qi Xia to go stall Immeasurable Mountain's ancestor Zhao Hua and Silver Night Mountain's Queen Lady Yu Chun. Envious of the East cupped his fist. Holy Mother Qi Xia nodded her head. All fellows, there is no time to lose. So as to avoid sudden changes, we shall move out now. The 8 great ancestral masters on their riding swords flew out of Red Cloud Hall, and more than 100 galaxy cultivators helplessly followed. Su Xing, do you truly wish to go? Wu Siyou furrowed her brow and said, as these supercluster cultivators have planned, this 5 Poisons Mountain is perhaps a trip without return. She and Su Xing thought together. It just so happens I want to help cure little Huang of the goo poison. With their help, what could you have against it? Su Xing was unconcerned. He currently was full of self-confidence. With more than 100 flowers of thousand bells immortal dew, it was enough for him to shake the miraculous Bodhi tree. Even if the 8 ancestors simultaneously attacked, Su Xing had enough confidence to escape unscathed. He, on the contrary, was more concerned about Wu Siyou. Siyou, could it be that you want to go? Your servant naturally wants to see that 10,000-year gu. The corner of Wu Siyou's mouth twitched slightly, a cold grin. An expanse of sword light flew towards 5 Poisons Mountain, and within this, Envious of the East was the most conspicuous. For all cultivators, even those supercluster ancestors were relying on flight artifacts and magic treasures if not riding swords. Only Envious of the East was simply not in need of any device. His silhouette directly rose into the sky. Legends said that Supervoid cultivators' star energy could meld into one with the world. Upon reaching this realm, flight did not require any supplementary tools, and it was even swifter than artifacts and magic weapons by some, making people envious. Wu Siyou, who was not capable of riding swords at all, just sat on Su Xing's wind-swayed divine raft. No one doubted the two were a married couple. With this many cultivators mobilized, in order to not be detected, Envious of the East also fully used an immortal magic, threatening eyes and ears. 2. Approximately several hours afterwards, the 5 Poisons Mountain enveloped in poison gas was visible to everyone. In the 10 years since the Rock Demon King constructed the Jade Alum Palace at 5 Poisons Mountain, the poison fog and demon smoke of 5 Poisons Mountain was more and more profound. It was unknown to what terrifying state the 5 Poisons Mountain inside had developed into. The hearts of a group of Galaxy Stage cultivators pounded when they saw this. Looking at the 5 Poisons Mountain pervaded by smoke and rolling magic clouds, the forbid dance evidently had already activated. In the several thousand li surrounding 5 Poisons Mountain, everyone halted. Divine light shone brightly from Envious of the East's eyes, and looking around, in front is the core of 5 Poisons Mountain's forbid dance. The poison smoke inside has reportedly been condensed for 10,000 years, incomparably toxic. For those unafraid of death and capable of flight, this 5 Poisons Mountain's 4 sides possess more than 20 array points. I see that we should divide here into 4 groups, breaking each from the 4 directions east, west, south, and north. All fellows, how about it? The other ancestral masters were silent, and the Galaxy Stage cultivators basically did not have the right to speak. Good. Then 2 ancestral masters each will guide in excess of 40 juniors. This matter of life and death for the Azure Dragon territory shall be passed to everyone, and I ask that all of you pull together as one and withstand calamity. Envious of the East clearly said, we will converge again when the time comes. Everyone said, yes, in succession. The close to 200 Galaxy cultivators and 8 ancestral masters split into 4 groups, flying in the 4 directions. Su Xing's group had more than 40 cultivators, the majority of which had cultivations at Galaxy early stage. The highest was Wu Siyou. For better or for worse, the supercluster cultivator for this group was Ancestor Qianli of the Blooming Water Sword Sect as well as the Tai Sword Sect's Daoist Master Qing Lian. The two could be said to from the 2 great sects that hated Su Xing to the bone. Who does Envious of the East think he is? This manner of following blindly truly makes this ancestor unhappy. Ancestor Qianli looked at the others departing, somewhat indignantly sneering. The Daoist Master Qing Lian beside him was sage-like, extraordinarily refined. He stroked his long beard, fellow Qianli, these words are better not spoken to Envious of the East's face. Ha, Daoist Master Qing Lian, this ancestor naturally knows I am not a supervoid cultivator's opponent. However, that said, we are in any case each the grand ancestral masters of our sects, yet we are to obey him? Could it be you are very comfortable? Daoist Master Qing Lian faintly smiled, this time, we are all working for the common purpose of the Azure Dragon territory's safety. There is no so-called obey or disobey. Would this ancestor believe in this sort of shit? Ancestor Qianli laughed aloud. Gloomily, he said, Did we not come for the 10,000-year gu, and for whoever obtains this 10,000-year gu, they would someday be Azure Dragon Territory's overlord. Taoist Master Qing Lian smiled but did not speak. Taoist Master Qing Lian, how about if the two of us link hands? Ancestor Qianli said slyly, this ancestor sees the others certainly will also link hands. With this ancestor's blooming water divine thunder, and the Taoist master's 360 extreme white-black-green lotus flying swords, should we act together, would we still need to fear envious of the East? There is only one 10,000-year gu. Fellow certainly must not have wild thoughts. Taoist Master Qing Lian vaguely replied. Ancestor Qianli smiled, this is simple. If the Taoist master seizes the 10,000-year gu, so long as you help this ancestor kill the purple thunder monster, that purple thunder monster's items will be given to me. What do you say? Conversely, if this ancestor luckily obtains it, I will certainly help the Taoist master kill the purple thunder monster, and his items shall belong to you. With the 10,000-year gu, who would care about that purple thunder monster's things? Taoist Master Qing Liang murmured to himself. Evidently, he had been somewhat piqued by Ancestor Qian Li's words. How about it? Within the current great sets, only our 2-star masters have been slain by the purple thunder monster. Honestly speaking, it is only us that genuinely hates the purple thunder monster to the bone. No one loses out if we act together. The Taoist Master Qing Liang smiled, hey, talk more later. We had best still quickly rush towards our top priority, so as to avoid envious of the East becoming the winner. Ancestor Qianli gloomily cursed the old fox. This ancestor's ugly words have been said, yet he still feigns righteousness before this ancestor. Having heard the bare and treacherous deal between these two ancestors, the galaxy stage cultivators each were somewhat frightened. Wu Siyou looked pensively at Su Xing. Should these two ancestors realize the purple thunder monster they wanted to kill was right among them at this moment, it was unknown what kind of marvel that would be. Su Xing also chuckled, a sort of unconcerned appearance. Ancestor Qianli at this time turned his head back, sternly saying, presumably, you have heard this ancestor's words. This ancestor is not like that sweet-talking hypocrite, envious of the East. We have long heard news of the 10,000-year gu, and moving out at this time, it is only because the 10,000-year gu is about to be born. Breaking the array points, that is only for the sake of allowing an easy escape from the Rock Demon King after seizing the 10,000-year gu. If this 10,000-year gu is stolen, do you know what this represents? If you have ambitions, you can make a vain attempt. This ancestor only wants you to be self-aware. However, as long as you help this ancestor obtain that 10,000-year gu, this ancestor will not treat you unfairly. What do you think? We will surely go through water and tread on fire for the ancestor. They promptly said. Ancestor Qianli laughed aloud, waving his large sleeve. Only an outstanding talent can recognize current trends. 3. We shall go in like this. The crowd of cultivators hesitated before they still entered the dense fog. Su Xing turned his head to look behind him. It seems that they hate you abnormally. Do you still wish to go? Wu Su asked through sound transmission. If you expose your identity, you must understand clearly the consequences. It is precisely because of that. Right now is the best opportunity. Su Xing gazed at Ancestor Qianli and Taoist Master Qing Lian, inwardly smirking. Wu Siyou was silent. A dense, non-dispersing poison cloud that was like a mara blocked everyone's line of sight. Before them was a dark green swamp. Over a range of 1,000 li bubbles were emitted in the middle of the swamp with a gunong 5 sound. After these bubbles burst apart, a wisp of green smoke rose. This green smoke filled the area above the swamp, carrying a type of corrosive scent. One look was all it took to know this was highly toxic. Few cultivators were somewhat hesitant to advance upon seeing the scene before them. Seeing that swamp was just like boiling water, anyone could see, in the case someone fell into it, returning alive was absolutely impossible. Senior Qing Lian, how shall we cross this? A male cultivator was green in the face when he saw that green poison smoke. Just the swamp's odor was unpleasant. This is Poison Dragon Swamp, one of the 5 poisons of 5 Poisons Mountain. We can still barely use riding swords. All fellows, I ask again that we search for the array point in the vicinity. This is also for the sake of making us better. Taoist Master Qing Lian was unlike ancestor Qianli, speaking with a warm comfort. When everyone heard, they looked at each other in dismay. At once, they used their flying swords. They might as well, for the toxic gas at 5 Poisons Mountain's Poison Dragon Mountain was not too thick. On the borderlines of the forbid dance, the flying swords actually could ascend several zhang. This made the cultivators breathe out a sigh of relief. They released every sort of sword chant for protection as they very carefully forged their way. However, the green poison smoke of Poison Dragon's Swamp was still formidable. A few cultivators' flying swords were unable to bear the poison gas and had been easily corrupted, rendering those cultivators incomparably distressed. Ancestor Qianli and Taoist Master Qing Lian glanced at each other and showed peculiar expressions. Ancestor Qianli released a flight artifact and directly flew over while Taoist Master Qing Lian lagged unhurriedly behind. The two, with one in front and one in back, were not afraid these cultivators would play some sort of trick. Su Xing naturally did not have any interest in helping these supercluster ancestors execute their task. He and Wu Siyou entered the swamp, 6, and Su Xing deeply mulled over Poison Dragon Swamp. It was reasonable to say that a star cultivator relying on covering themselves completely in star energy to handle the swamp naturally was not out of the realm of possibility. However, seeing those extremely poison gases of this Poison Dragon Swamp that had been refined, one touch was enough to feel a burning pain. Ganong! They heard a scream, "Save me!" Due to the dense fog in the sky above the swamp, anywhere above several zhang was impossible to see clearly. They could only rely on weak presences to sense. It sounded as if an unfortunate cultivator had fallen into the swamp. The other cultivators shivered in their hearts, somewhat shrinking back. All fellows, having all reached this stage, you must not get cold feet. From behind them came the warning of the Taoist master, a dagger hidden in his smile. Brother Su Xing, careful. These green poison gases can easily corrupt flying swords. Falling down there is death without doubt. Fang Xiangu flew over at this moment, and with him was Zheng Yanran. Su Xing nodded. It seemed this boundless swamp's poison smoke changed without stop. He thought, these old monsters sure enough are shrewd. Apparently, they had foreseen this situation. Seeking out scattered star cultivators was entirely for them to pathfind. All of the cultivators successively used their abilities to dispel or evade the poison smoke, flying past Poison Dragon Swamp at high speed. There seems to be something below that swamp. Zheng Yanran pointed below the swamp and suddenly said. Su Xing stared, and as expected, he saw that in the frothing bubbles of the swamp, there was some object apparently spying on them in secret. Fang Xiangu wrinkled his brows, activating a talisman. The talisman became a fireball that sunk into the swamp, very quickly being engulfed. The shadow also disappeared instantly. Be a bit more careful. Su Xing warned. N. Poison Dragon Swamp's range was several thousand li. The green smoke of the swamp were like will-o'-the-wisps, and knowing how formidable these toxic gases were, all the cultivators did not dare lower their guard. Each used their own life-cast sword chant for protection, and with the defense of the sword chant, handling the poison smoke was even more possible. However, doing so would greatly wear out their star energy. Practically before they had walked out of 5 Poisons Mountain's first poison, some cultivators were forced to eat 1 flower of the 1,000 bells Immortals do. Su Xing's star energy was deep and resounding. Let alone that it was only galaxy early stage, just his star energy was probably only a little bit off compared to supercluster stage. His pathfinding was abnormally easy, and Fang Xiangu followed behind him. Zheng Yanran, though, fixed her gaze tightly on the swamp. These supercluster cultivators seemed to have the mind to preserve their magic energy to confront the 10,000-year Gu, for they followed only the routes that had already been scouted. They even incessantly urged for everyone to go quickly find Poison Dragon Swamp's eastern array point. Although everyone was somewhat resentful, as matters stood, there was no path back. Approximately several hours later, they suddenly heard a cultivator shout in pleasant surprise. "I found the array point." Hearing this voice, everyone immediately flew over. Su Xing and Fang Xiangu also rushed over, and needless to say, more than 40 of them had surrounded it a short time later. What they saw was a giant stone obelisk, about 10 zhang tall. Its entire body was pitch black, a totem etched with strange spells. A giant sculpted snake wound around the stone stele. Cyan scales grew all over this snake's skin, and it had sharp fangs, a form that seemed to be particularly shocking. "Go!" a cultivator coldly shouted. Maneuvering his flying sword, it went there to attack. Several dozen flying swords clanged as they cut onto the barrier over the obelisk. Suddenly, at this moment, that carved snake's eyes emitted a dim light. The body that had obviously been one with the pillar abruptly began to slither along the stele. Astonishingly, it had come to life. The swamp's poison gas suddenly thickened. A long, black shadow violently rushed out from the swamp's depths. Due to every cultivator's riding sword flying at low altitudes, only several meters away from the swamp, when this shadow attacked, several people were unable to react and were eaten. Astonishingly, it was a black-scaled python. Over the silent marsh, there were several screams. 3 cultivators had been pulled into the poison dragon swamp in the blink of an eye, their life or death uncertain. "Careful, it is the poison dragon black python!" everyone shouted. Voila! 2. The swamp broke open, and several poison dragon black pythons rushed out, opening their maws wide. These poison dragon black pythons were 5 poison severe beasts. They lived within poison dragon swamp, absorbing poison gas to live. Their poisonous fangs shot poison light, sprayed poison fog. Everyone here was a scattered star cultivator, who ordinarily often experienced danger. Hastily, they struck their sword chants, and several hundred flying swords were just like a giant net that flew over. In an instant, the sword light and poison light struck each other. But this swamp's poison dragon black pythons all had been roused. 100 of the giant pythons endlessly rushed out, bringing everyone an extreme pressure. Taoist Master Qing Lian and Ancestor Qianli rushed over in succession. "Everyone, immediately use your sword chants to break this obelisk now." Ancestor Qianli this time did not hold back. 100 flying swords appeared, and these flying swords were very abnormal. They completely integrated with blooming water divine thunder. The swords had water thunder, the thunder light dazzling. Su Xing's eyes concentrated. It seemed that this Ancestor Qianli was much more powerful than Ancestor Bailey. Just these flying swords were more awesome by quite a bit. Taoist Master Qing Lian at this time also gave a low shout. His 2 hands formed a seal, and suddenly, cold light glared from every place on his body. At the same time, he launched more than 100 green rays of light. These green beams swelled the moment they appeared. In a flash, more than 100 dull green flying swords imposingly formed. After a burst of sword light, all of the flying swords automatically formed an odd formation. It revolved indefinitely over Taoist Master Qing Lian's head, concealing a chilling killing intent. The 2 supercluster cultivators promptly acted. The blooming water divine thunder filled the skies and bloomed, the water thunder exploding layer upon layer. Taoist Master Qing Liang's 360 extreme white-green lotus swords spun without end, the sword light seemingly unstoppable. The moment they acted, they promptly brought relief to the pressure on everyone. The others immediately went to attack the poison dragon stone stele. Not good. A cultivator suddenly screamed. They saw the poison snake on the obelisk open its mouth, and it unbelievably rushed out. That cultivator, along with his flying sword even, were swallowed by the poison snake. When the others saw, their faces were white. Flying swords were thrown in succession without end, and every sort of artifact was also completely put to full use. That enormous azure python opened its mouth, spraying a blue light. The other cultivators did not dare receive it, and each avoided it. You all go quickly, this ancestor is already helping you handle these poison dragon black pythons. Quickly go break the array point. Ancestor Qianli shouted. Heavenly Deficiency Sword Array. 18 Dark True Swords. Hanging Star Sword Array. Several dozen cultivators surrounded the obelisk, their sword chants repeatedly rumbling, but that enormous azure snake's scales were incomparably hard. It withstood the flying sword attacks of the cultivators, and the poison gas on the swamp was even more concentrated. Having been rolled over by its mouth opening, several cultivators were careless and were greeted with the fate of falling into the swamp without emerging. Su Xing did not use heaven tearing at all, rather, he used his divine intent to control more than 30 flying swords and artifacts. Immemorial sword chant heaven tearing was a top-notch terror. If he brought it out, it would be hard to avoid being noticed by Ancestor Qianli and Taoist Master Qing Lian, and Su Xing certainly did not want to be noticed right now. Under the continuous attacks of this many cultivators, the flying swords were just like a net of swords that endlessly attacked the gigantic azure python. Everyone gradually calmed down, and their movements no longer confused. They handled this more easily now. The giant azure python at this time suddenly scuttled into the swamp, and for a time, the flying swords were incapable of attacking. Meanwhile, Ancestor Qianli and Taoist Master Qing Lian had dispatched 100 poison dragon black pythons. Seeing that the cultivators were still idle, they immediately shouted, "Hurry and go break the stone steel." But what about that black python? This is the array point's guardian beast. It running away is naturally for the better. Ancestor Qianli said nothing further, and his flying sword went to attack the obelisk. Suddenly, at this time, the poison smoke abruptly condensed, and originally open air was crammed full of poison smoke in the blink of an eye. Not good. When everyone saw, they began to attack the obelisk without the slightest hesitation. With the 2 supercluster cultivators' assistance, breaking this obelisk was a matter of 1 minute. Seeing the obelisk collapse, Ancestor Qianli was satisfied. Depart. The others did not dare neglect their riding swords and left, but the green poison smoke was increasingly concentrated. Everyone could only sacrifice their magic energy to go ward it off, but by doing so, their speed considerably slowed. Just at this time, the swamp erupted. The previous gigantic azure python transformed into a black serpent that rushed out, shockingly towards Fang Xiangu's direction. Fang Xiangu's expression changed. Everyone practically felt he was dead without doubt. Su Xing grit his teeth, and just when he was about to use heaven tearing, just at this moment, Wu Siyou seized his hand. She surreptitiously shook her head, her eyes sharply watching. The poison python soared like a dragon, fiercely opening its mouth wide. They saw the always inactive girl Zheng Yanran suddenly flash. In the vastness of her white hair, a weapon of gold light appeared in her hand instantly and rushed past the python. She raised the weapon in her hand, and she ruthlessly chopped at that immense poison dragon black python's venomous fangs. Let alone that Zheng Yanran's outward appearance was extremely delicate, frivolous, with an expensive appearance, when she acted with this severity and viciousness, her attack was immediately fatal. She was intent on snapping this poison dragon python's venomous fangs. So long as the head suffered severe damage, this poison dragon black python's strength would harshly decrease. If other places were cut, although it could give this poison dragon black python wounds, the effectiveness was not as clear as snapping its fangs. The poison dragon python ferociously turned its head around. It saw the face of glittering demonic green light as well as a gorgeous and blinding white saber light appear before it. The poison dragon python indignantly hissed, and it released green light from its fangs when it saw that cold light. Zheng Yanran coldly grinned. The cold weapon carried an air-shattering whistle and an astral wind that broke open the green light. The two venomous fangs were simultaneously shattered, and then the girl's delicate figure scuttled, mercilessly cutting into the poison dragon python's back. She penetrated straight through, and a white cold light practically cut this half of the body off. Boom! The poison dragon python was as if it had met a lightning bolt. Its body violently shook. And the python raised its head and miserably hissed. It flung its snake tail heavily at Jing Yanran. How could the one acting as the guardian beast of the array point be underestimated? Just the gale that tail raised was enough to blow away many cultivators. That wide dress in front began to float in the poison wind. Zheng Yanran's eyes carried a carefree sneer as she confronted that maw of the poison dragon python. That ugly mouth seemed to want to swallow the person whole, bones and all. The poison dragon python's error was in estimating the girl's fighting strength. Then the next saber attack came cutting, the saber chi like a falling snowflake. The sliced poison dragon python howled incessantly, continuously sweeping out poison light, but Jing Yanran would not give it any opportunities to gasp for breath. Immediately, she began to enter her second wave of attacks. The weapon chopped, and the poison dragon python's stomach was suddenly sliced open with blood gushing from the wound. The poison dragon python bellowed, curling its body up. Zheng Yanran laughed in the poison wind. She had already jumped high into the air, a whirlwind spinning around her, best described as protection. She rolled in midair, and when she landed, her legs heavily stamped onto the still shocked poison dragon python's head. Pooh! Zheng Yanran's knee accurately struck, and a sword turned the poison dragon python spitting into whimpers. She simply did not give the poison dragon python the time to wail. At this time, Zheng Yan still had her previous innocence. Now, she had become like a demon or a god, her calm face no longer with any fluctuations. She did not have any sympathy for the devastated poison dragon python, and her actions were even more ruthless. The cold light wandered, and the saber's tip rose and fell. The surrounding poison creatures and poison gas immediately were dispersed by an ice-cold roar. The poison dragon sank into the swamp and was thoroughly incapable of budging. Shwa! Zheng Yanran smoothly landed on the poison dragon python's body. That shiny straight sword, 3, emitted bits of cold light, and her forehead had a star shimmer. Her acting out was not more than the time of a few breaths, yet she easily wiped out this guardian beast. Seemingly as if they were dreaming, the cultivators did not return to their senses. A star general. Ah, star general. Everyone shouted when they saw that cold light straight saber. This saber was seemingly refined and tempered with cold frost, the saber top's cold light seemingly like snow, thoroughly ice-cold. A white dragon extended from the back of the blade to the hilt, gorgeous enough to make people speechless. Jade dragon Misfortune Snow. Ancestor Qianli's pupils shrunk, different star fair-skinned gentleman Zheng Tianshou. 5. Zheng Yanran's gaze was somewhat ice-cold yet somewhat absent-minded. Her figure flashed, and she returned to Fang Xiangu's side. Star Master. Everyone was astonished. Not a single person foresaw that Fang Xiangu was a Star Master, that his cousin unexpectedly was a Star General. Although she seemed to only be the ranked 74th different star, the martial force she just displayed made everyone change. Ancestor Qianli coldly smiled. Ever since his school's Star Master had been destroyed, he currently saw Star Generals in a bad light no matter what. Your servant is Fang Xiangu. Because of chance and coincidence, your servant has signed a contract with his cousin. Due to great concerns, your servant asks seniors and fellows to understand. Fang Xiangu cupped his fist and said. Ha, ha. You have hidden yourself quite deeply. If it were not for that poison dragon's surprise attack just now, this old man would have been fooled by you. Ancestor Qianli put on a fake smile. The other cultivators gazed at Fang Xiangu with gladness and alarm. Zheng Yanran stowed away the straight saber jade dragon, coldly snorting. The fellows at this place are here for the Azure Dragon territory's safety, regardless of whether or not you are a Star Master is irrelevant. Since even this fellow can lend a helping hand by his Star Master status, indeed the youth can stay. The Taoist Master Qing Lian's mouth spat out a lotus flower to ingeniously carry this matter forward. We had better quickly pass this 5 Poisons Mountain, so as not to tarry our time. Taoist Master Qing Lian looked at Ancestor Qianli. Ancestor Qianli chuckled and asked Fang Xiangu, "What is your name?" "Your servant is Fang Xiangu." Fang Xiangu did not dare be careless. "You must have a sect." "Your servant is alone." "Very good, how about if you enter the Blooming Water Sword sect for this 5 Poisons Mountain? This ancestor will personally take you as a disciple, so long as you wish to lend the Blooming Water Sword sect a helping hand." Ancestor Qianli laughed out loud. Seeing him unexpectedly recruit a Star Master, the Taoist Master Qing Lian did not speak. Fang Xiangu was somewhat hesitant, but he knew that since a supercluster ancestral master dared to ask like this, naturally the ancestor would not allow him to say no. "Many thanks for senior's consideration." Fang Xiangu could only speak like this. The Zhen Yan ran behind him, wrinkled her nose, appearing displeased. Ancestor Qianli's mood was very good as far as the eye could see. "If anyone else among you is a Star Master, quickly state your name. This ancestor will not harm him." The Star Master under Ancestor Qing Lian's school has been killed by the Purple Thunder monster, and now is also an opportunity for you to develop. Ancestor Qianli was very cunning. In order to avert harming his teamwork with Ancestor Qing Lian, he immediately spoke like this, to prominently show his good faith. Ancestor Qing Lian's face wore a slight smile as he nodded. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, not a single one of them admitting so. "You!" Ancestor Qianli suddenly pointed at Su Xing. He gloomily said, "This ancestor just now discovered that everyone is using flying swords, yet you and the woman with you are not doing anything. Could it be said she is a Star General?" Everyone looked at Su Xing, a face of fright as they stared at Wu Siyou. Their hearts actually believed this about 70 to 80%. Wu Siyou's cool elegance was threatening, and how could this personality be matched by ordinary star cultivators? Only those legendary Star Generals could have this level of imposing aura. Only then did Taoist Master Qing Lian notice Wu Siyou, his eyes gleaming. Su Xing smiled wholeheartedly. "Senior misunderstands, this is your servant's wife, how could she be a Star General?" "Wife?" Ancestor Qianli smiled oddly. "You, a galaxy early stage, has this beautiful and gorgeous of a wife." Wu Siyou's eyes had a trace of killing intent, so Su Xing held her hand. Wu Siyou went blank, but she immediately understood Su Xing's meaning. Lowering her gaze, she did not let anyone see her eyes, but if they were visible, most probably even Ancestor Qianli would be scared pale. Su Xing restrained the thought to kill him. His appearance was still deferential as he said, "Senior has also said so, your servant is only galaxy early stage, so what qualifications does your servant have to sign a Star General that can pretend to be galaxy late stage?" Speaking as such, everyone was somewhat relieved. To be able to feign being galaxy late stage, at the minimum, she would have to be among the first 20 heavenly stars. By Su Xing's current strength, he was extremely mediocre. Even that flying sword was not level, so it was not believable. Is there not also another sort of possibility? That the contracted Star General is capable of disguising her star energy. Ancestor Qianli remained unmoved. Su Xing feigned a difficult expression. Fang Xiangu at this time said, "Senior, is this ancestor still called Senior?" Ancestor Qianli smiled. Fang Xiangu was embarrassed and promptly corrected himself, "Master, disciple can testify. Fellow Su Xing is not a Star Master at all." "Reason?" Ancestor Qianli flatly said. "It is like this. Fellow Su Xing's wife previously had yin deficiency. Fellow Su Xing even specifically helped Lady Su purchase medicine to mend her body. If she was a Star General, how could there possibly be this sort of matter?" His words made the others enter into a commotion. Although they knew the two had a relationship, when they heard Fang Xiangu be so frank, they were very much jealous of Su Xing. A few female cultivators gazed at Wu Siyou and blushed. Is this true? Ancestor Qianli wrinkled his brow. He naturally knew that although star generals were remarkably beautiful, since ancient times, who would not have dared to have the idea of a star general's purine? Legend said that in the past, there were many cultivators that relied on every sort of means to forcibly seize a star maiden. However, in those times, with falling skies of bright stars, people that harbored this sort of idea would die a very ugly death. However, Ancestor Qianli looked at Wu Siyou. Yesterday was somewhat tense, making Wu Siyou currently appear comparatively exhausted. Now, she actually made people feel she truly did have that sort of impression of being very tired due to sex. Then why does she not use a flying sword? Taoist Master Qing Lian curiously asked. That is because my wife is pregnant. Su Xing forced a smile. Pregnant? Everyone was startled. Life-cast flying swords were nurtured in the body. If a woman was pregnant, then indeed she could not use a flying sword. This was explainable, and Fang Xiangu looked in shock at Su Xing's and Yanran's smile, though, was somewhat mysterious. This ancestor still is not too convinced. How could Ancestor Qianli be that easy to deceive? Wu Siyou was somewhat impatient and wanted to call out the white and black unicorn tiger to open its mouth wide to kill him. Had the harm star pilgrim Wusong ever been encircled by a crowd like this before? Su Xing rolled his eyes. He had a plan, and he immediately said helplessly, Senior really is incredible. Your servant does not dare deceive Senior. Your servant indeed is a star master. What? Fang Xiangu was hoarse, and everyone was stunned. Ancestor Qianli laughed heartily, with a sort of satisfied feeling of vanity. Why must you conceal 1,000 ways? Unexpectedly, even pregnancy has been mentioned. Ha, ha, what star general is this, that she could unexpectedly be willing to let you take her virginity? Fuck, there's no need for this idiot to provoke Wusong if he wants to die. Su Xing said, Senior misunderstands, this is your servant's wife. He paused, saying nothing. His shoulders shook, and there suddenly was a bright glow. Gongsun Huang appeared out of thin air and sat on Su Xing's shoulder, her eyes blinking. Everyone was stupefied. This is your servant's star general, but to be honest, she has been inflicted with the extreme toxins of Lady Snake Scorpion's star general. She has already lost her fighting capabilities, thus your servant can only conceal her. Su Xing made a bitter smile. Ancestor Qianli fixed his gaze and looked. Sure enough, he discovered that Gongsun Huang was abnormally weak, that her body had goo poison within. This time, he absolutely was not mistaken. The other envious cultivators were relieved. Many even had jeering expressions. Originally, they were still very jealous that Su Xing was a star master and also had a beauty beside him. Now, they saw his star general unexpectedly was trash. The hearts of many of them somewhat took comfort and joy in his misfortune. So it turned out to be this. Ancestor Qing Lian sneered, however, you deceived this ancestor like this. Your audacity truly is not small. A powerful pressure immediately pressed down on Su Xing. Forget it, this fellow had no other choice. Taoist Master Qing Lian stroked his beard, slowly interrupting Ancestor Qianli. He flatly looked at Su Xing. Do you wish to enter this ancestor's school? This 5 Poisons Mountain is also to confront that Lady Snake Scorpion. That goo poison can be cured, so there is no need to worry. Then thanks to the Taoist Master. Su Xing said. Taoist Master Qing Lian smiled in satisfaction. In reality, he had no interest at all in star masters like Su Xing that had trashed star generals, but it was sufficient cause to kill Lady Snake Scorpion when the time came. Moreover, having a star general gave sex quite a bit of face. His thoughts and ancestor Baileys could be said to hold the same opinion. In their eyes, so long as this was beneficial to them, star generals could be taken in and exploited. There is no time to lose. We must first go to the next 5 poisons. Taoist Master Qing Lian beckoned with his hand. Sword light escaped away. Humph, why did you not allow your servant to kill these old farts? Wu Siyou coldly said. If she commanded the white and black unicorn tiger to do so, she actually did not fear these supercluster middle stages. Wife, I also very much want to kill them, but right now still is not the time. Su Xing shook his head. If they acted, the other cultivators would certainly stand on Ancestor Qianli's side. This place's topography was troublesome and there was nothing to do about it. Of course, Su Xing had another reason, which was that these 2 supercluster stage-old monsters all had full energy. If the other ancestral masters were drawn over, that would be extremely far from good, let alone that 5 Poisons Mountain still had many more poisons to pass through. Right now, they still could not make a move. When it truly was time to move, he inevitably could not give them the chance to catch their breath. Su Xing then brought out the birth treasure outline. The book's pages flipped, reflecting material pertaining to Zheng Yanran. Star position, different star name, Zheng Tianshou nickname, fair-skinned gentleman true name, Zheng Yanran rank, 74th star weapon, Jade dragon misfortune snow, 3 star, star beast. Rank, realm, 1000 militaries 6th stage innate skill, pretty, 2, 5 elements, water yellow rank special skill, icebreaker snow slicer, 3, dark rank special skill, saber draw water cutter current status, contractor, Feng Xiangu, detailed materials. When Wu Siyou saw Su Xing take out the birth treasure outline, she could not help but wrinkle her brow. Awesome, unexpectedly, she's at 1000 militaries 6th stage. Su Xing exclaimed. In his impressions, the fair-skinned gentleman along the water's edge was certainly not this incredible. When star generals are born, there is a certain realm and capability to grow. Your servant sees that she is very exceptional, very gifted, unexpectedly already reaching 1000 militaries 6th stage. Wu Siyou was also very impressed. This sort of realm could defeat average heavenly stars. She has learned her dark rank special skill. It seems she is a formidable little sister. Wu Siyou nodded. Truly, she cannot be underestimated. In order to avoid the troublesome matter of another star master appearing in the midst of the star cultivators, Su Xing even decided to secretly seize the opportunity to first use the birth treasure outline to probe them. This was to avoid being taken advantage of others for their personal gain. Was what she used just now the saber draw water cutter? Su Xing asked. Wu Siyou shook her head. Your servant fears it is icebreaker snow slicer. Do you wish to confront her? Gong Sun Huang blinked her eyes. Su Xing shook his head, smiling. You are afraid that when the time comes to handle Ancestor Qianli, that Feng Xiangu and Zheng Yanran will act? Wu Siyou thoughtfully said. I am not a single bit worried. Su Xing shrugged his shoulders. At this time, he saw that the others had already directed their attention here. He did not find any other star masters, so Su Xing put the birth treasure outline away and went to catch up. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.